Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another live stream. We have Wiccan that released yesterday, and for the most part, he's been just okay. I haven't seen any outstanding decks that just dominate with him. I've seen a couple of good ones, but nothing that has just like blown him out of the water. Now, I think that there are a couple of cool ways to build and utilize him. One being in like a bounce style shell so that you can do things like Hitmonkey, Shang-Chi, plus a flood of your one-cost cards, or a few different flexible ways to position that in-game power. We also have kind of a riff on a deck that Binks released a video on yesterday for Wiccan, and that is a deck that instead of using like 4 one-cost cards, we're leaning very heavily into the 2-cost cards. So we have 4 2-cost cards and then just the 1 Quicksilver so that we can better our chances to draw into either a turn 3 Wiccan, or we have a 2-drop into a 3 into maybe Wiccan naturally on 4. But overall, I think he's been an okay card. Nothing outstanding, but definitely a playable card for the most part. And then the drug, welcome in, J-Mac. How's it going? The Edamame, Boofin, Binks. I'm so easy to summon, it's crazy. Welcome in, Binks. And then OG Nerd, Dougie Games, Cups. Hopefully you all are having a fantastic day. Binks, you are here incredibly early. I think that's the fastest I've ever seen you get summoned. All it took was to say your name, and then poof, here you are. Hopefully you're doing fantastic, man. I know with the move and everything, hopefully everything has panned out and kind of calmed down. Let me turn on a couple of our... There we go. I hear if you look in the mirror and say Binks, 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 he'll appear right behind you. I mean, I may be inclined to believe you with how quickly he showed up. And then on the YouTube side, RN, welcome in. Hopefully you're having a fantastic one. And so I'll switch over to this scene as we let people kind of filter in a bit. And so the main idea with this one is instead of limiting yourself to like an excessive amount of one-cost cards, which sometimes have lower late game value, you're using the Quicksilver and then using your more flexible 2-cost cards, which can allow you into, which typically will have a little bit better value if you draw into it late. We have the Cassandra Nova, we have Copycat, both phenomenal value right now, but both are also replaceable. We have the Wiccan, we have Absorbing Man, so you can always go on turn 5 with an additional Wiccan play to get additional energy. More often than not, you're going to want to do something like Eliath, Absorbing Man, Doctor Doom, Absorbing Man. Sometimes you'll just follow up Cassandra Nova with an Absorbing Man to have another big one as well. Moriarty, I love your videos. TLSG, welcome in, Moriarty. Hopefully you're having a fantastic day and the week has been treating you well. We're going to run just a really quick ad break so that it doesn't start running ads while we're in the middle of any gameplay, and then we'll be right back, you guys. And then Calrosi, welcome in as well. Hopefully you're having a great one. All right, and so for the other deck that I have lined up that I think will be decent as well, I've had some decent success with it, is a more bounce style shell. So we're looking at a deck that drops the Black Swan, because sometimes the Black Swan play can be a little bit clunky. And instead, we're going with the scalable pieces of our Rocket, our Hawkeye. We have Kate Bishop to generate additional 1-cost cards. We have the scaling power of Werewolf. We have Hitmonkey, and then Wiccan in there as a way to sometimes ramp up how much you can do on that last turn, so that sometimes you'll be able to surprise the opponent with how much reach you're actually going to have. And so that's the deck that I'm going to start today off with, because I do have an Alliance mission where we're wanting to move at least 7 cards in one match. And Werewolf decks have been my favorite way to complete that Alliance bounty, because you can typically move him with a very heavy on reveal. You can move him around 7 times in one single game. Drew, welcome in. Hopefully you're having a great one. Astrid, welcome in as well. And then Bluesman, hopefully you all are having a fantastic week so far. I'm glad that you're here. And then next week, I did take off on both Monday and Tuesday. And so I'm going to be streaming for the drops. I'm going to be streaming a diabolical amount of time. Drew, you said tried playing a Zudek. It sucked so bad. OP had Killmonger from Arsham, their own Enchantress, and the Wazoo. I mean, that's one particular, like that definitely sounds like a bad matchup. But I think that's probably it's not super common. You don't see Killmonger a whole lot, especially if it's generated from Arsham, and Enchantress is super rare still. I'm starting to see it creep back in, but it's still very, very rare to see an all-out Enchantress. And so I think it was probably just a really bad experience, though. Ook, welcome in. Hopefully you're having a great one. All right, looks like we are back. I'm going to jump into a couple of the bounce games so that we can kick it off early and often. You said reminded me why I moved away from Zoo decks. I'm better off putting Marvel Boy in an Arsham deck. I never see Marvel Boy anyways when I throw him into a deck. I think I just don't have the patience for I guess it's a fairly linear deck. So Zoo decks, I don't know that I have the patience to run them how I should. I know that it performs really well, but I just haven't had incredible luck with it. All right, so first up we have Acrodist. The first location is Mount Vesuvius. We have the 1, 2, 3. Falcon is obviously not ideal 1, 2, but if it means the extra energy, maybe we can get by with it. But we also have the chance to draw into another 2-cost card. So let's go ahead and play the Falcon. We'll pull the Hawkeye back in. We're gonna go Werewolf on 3, into Wiccan on 4, and then we're gonna be able to just bounce that card ridiculously across the board over the rest of the game. How many subs are we away from full time? So the number that was set, we're quite a ways away from. We're like 800 away, but I'm keeping track of like how much I'm able to make over the last couple of, is there no deck tracker? Thank you, Kato. I forgot again. I've been keeping track of how much I'm able to make over the last couple of months because I want to make sure that even if we don't hit that goal, I want to see if I'm able to justify and be able to make enough to be able to switch to the full time. It is still something that I'm very heavily considering and want to make happen. It's just a matter of how. I had a rough day of snap games yesterday, just bad matchups, locations. I'm hoping I can get some TLSG luck and today goes better. The Thickless Cage. There are some days where I have awful RNG. It's just you kind of roll with the punches and try to mitigate how tilted you get how quickly. Because if it's something where I'm feeling really frustrated, I definitely do better after taking a slight break away from the game. And then Nifty Weasel, thank you so much for subbing for 6 months at Tier 1. That helps us get closer to that full-time status, and it helps us get closer to Partner Plus. All right, so we're going to go ahead and play Wiccan over into Onslaught Citadel. And then Igature, thank you so much for the Tier 1 as well.
Hey, welcome.
You are kicking us off. Incredibly positive. Thank you guys for being here. I very much appreciate the support. And so we have the Wiccan down. We have Werewolf that's going to start bouncing all over the place. Let's go something like Hawkeye mid, Rocket right. Kate Bishop. Go ahead and Beast bounce. We could play Wiccan again for extra energy. Not that it's going to do us any good. I don't really want to pull Wiccan back in. So maybe, I just don't think they play anywhere other than Onslaught Citadel this turn. Was my biggest concern with the Rocket. Because we can do a Hawkeye, Rocket, Kate Bishop, Beast, and go ahead and throw the Kitty Pryde down as well. So the Hawk comes down. They're going to cancel out Mount Vesuvius, so they could still retreat after this turn. And I think we have quite a bit of reach. Even though they have the free 1-cost cards, Marvel Boy down, I think we'll be able to outscale them with just how big Werewolf is going to get how quickly.
Taking aim.
Wills, welcome in. Hopefully you're having a fantastic day. Hopefully, thank you for being here. And so we have Kate Bishop coming down, Werewolf going all over the place. In the left lane, we pulled back up the rocket. We don't end up hitting it. I guess we could have played it in mid since that's where they played the Hawk, but I very much would have thought that they would have played it into the Onslaught Citadel. So how much energy did they skip with this last turn? Only 2. So I don't think they can do anything absolutely crazy. This is below Shang-Chi range. Bit unfortunate. We could go... something like Acid Arrow, Rocket Right. Depending on where we want to leave the card. So we go Acid Arrow, we go Grapple Arrow into mid, Rocket. My goodness. Grapple Arrow to the left. We're going to Rocket into mid. That's going to pull Werewolf back into here to stay in, but Rocket's going to pull over to the left. And then I think we'll finish with something like... we're only going to bounce him one less time. So Grapple Arrow, Rocket, pull the Werewolf here, pull the Rocket over to the left. Then we'll finish with the Kitty Pride. Is the Ant Legion thing meant to still be there? I sometimes leave sponsored stuff up. No, we can turn it off. It's still running, but we have the command for that. And so I'm going to turn it off. Thanks for the heads up. Thanks. All right, so let's see what they ended up dropping. See if we're able to hold it down. We did not scale in the left lane, unfortunately. So our Rocket doesn't scale where he needs to. Had we hit the correct call with the Rocket, we would have been able to outscale them in the left. But without it, we end up dropping the 4, unfortunately. And then Uki said, I will copy-paste something I wrote on Discord. So quite honestly, I'm thinking whether to unlock Wiccan or not at the moment. Not because I think he's great. I think he enables some... simply because he might be a good addition to good cards kind of deck. Yeah, so I think right now we haven't really cracked the code for Wiccan. I think Wiccan is an interesting card. Anytime we've seen energy cheat in the game up to this point, it's math bad. Yeah, we math bad. Anytime we've seen energy cheat up to this point in the game, it ends up getting really strong or really ridiculous really quick. And so I think he could potentially find himself into several decks in the future. It's just a matter of finding out what his best home is. And so I think you're right. I don't think he's quite broken right now. I don't think anyone should jump out and outright buy him, but I do think he has potential. Hope is still better. It can be, but with Hope, you really start ending up needing to be like repeatedly playing into her lane. With Wiccan, it opens up the possibility to not have that restriction of continually playing into whatever lane it's in. And so I think it offers a little bit different flexibility, but I think most of the time in most decks that we are seeing, the payoff isn't worth it yet, but I think there will be something that we eventually stumble on. And so with Hope, you definitely want your like mobile cards. So it really makes you lean into like Jeff, your Kitty Pride, your Nocturne so that you can play and then move away. So that's the thing. I didn't unlock Sage because she was weak. And then poof, now she's auto-include. Yeah. I think Sage's biggest weakness was that Leech was everywhere. And so once that was handled, all of a sudden she was able to just elevate. Because she puts out some kind of ridiculous power levels quite often. But next up we have Diaclone. We'll see if we're able to do this one a little bit better this time around. I'm actually going to go ahead and drop the Nico into the Destroy spell. We might end up destroying our Kitty Pride. Maybe. Or maybe we just destroy the Falcon so that we stay on curve. So that we can get a better chance to play our Wiccan. Or even better yet, we can destroy 8 Bishop. This is 3, 4, 5. Drawn to 2 more is 6, 7. We won't draw an additional one on the next turn, but I think that's fine. I don't know how people slept on Sage. Even if you watched the TLSG videos from the first day, it was looking good. It was just very counterable. So any on reveal at that point was very counterable. And so I get it. And for a lot of people, the keys are very limited, a very limited resource. And so you got to be kind of careful with where and how you spend them. But we do have the Wiccan play here. With Miniaturized Lab, not super great for our werewolf bouncing around, but we can still kind of bounce him back and forth in the same lane, I guess. Let's go ahead and play him into the left lane, and then we'll play Wiccan into mid. It'll pull him over. So they do get Wiccan down on 3. Let's see if their payoff is worth it. I've been waiting for Thena in the shop for about 8 days. Hopefully you see her soon, because she's a very solid include. We can do this indeed. We're going to go ahead and play Wiccan into mid. They have the extra energy a bit earlier and a bit more often, but we have the Shang-Chi that we might be able to draw into to be able to offset that sunspot. And so with Wiccan pulling our werewolf over, we have Falcon to pull our 1 costs back in, so the acid arrow that they just sent us, we will be able to return back to our hand, which should be nice. And then the Hit Monkey could be kind of interesting with the extra energy. We could always do Hit Monkey, Hood, East to pull it back in. But I think going into turn 6, I think I'd rather something like Hood, Grapple Arrow, Falcon bounces him several times, or the werewolf several times. And then we still have quite a bit of energy and on several 1-cost cards to try to enable our Hit Monkey on the final turn.
I'm about to juice this up.
We go the Moon Girl line, which is interesting. They're also capped into how much power they have in mid because of their grapple arrow. And as long as we pull 1 card, the acid arrow, in from the right lane, we won't be capped. No, we will. No, we won't. Werewolf's gonna move. So we have to beat 5, 6, 7 power in mid, which I think should be doable with the Hit Monkey. The last comes down to if our werewolf stays on the board. So we can go Hit Monkey, like Beast, Nico, Acid Arrow, Demon. Unless we were wanting to push into the left instead, but I think we're going to fight for mid and right. Ooh, they go all out on the right lane. The Mockingbird is big. The She-Hulk is big. The Squirrel Girl, and what else do we have over there? The double Squirrel Girl coming down. It looks like it would have been easier to fight for the left, potentially. We'll see if we're able to hold it down, though. The Nico coming in. Ooh, we are going to be stuck with the Acid Arrow over there. No, we're not going to be able to beat 24, right? We can tie the 24, but the Acid Arrow stabbed us in the back. Had I switched it for Basic Arrow, which, hindsight, we probably should have done, since they had the extra energy from Wiccan and the extra energy in Castle Blackstone. Probably should have switched it for the Basic Arrow. We would have been able to win this one. Unfortunately, a slight misplay makes us drop a second one. These are all very close, though, so they're very winnable. It's just playing it properly, I suppose. What are the over-there update changes coming tomorrow? Chase, I don't know. Hopefully they hit some of the more frustrating cards. But from what they've done in the past couple of weeks, they have done a good job of changing the frustrating cards without completely killing them. I think the only one that they changed that is very very much less likely to be played is the Doc Ock. What are the frustrating cards? So we have seen Sandman and Thena kind of completely warp the meta. So Sandman popped up because Thena was so strong, and I think they're both in a very solid spot, and so they're included in my opinion, far too many decks. Wiccan buff to 4/8, Crossbones removed from the game. that is an interesting take. Why justice for Crossbones? Why doesn't Crossbones deserve to be in the game? And so I don't know that. I don't know that Sandman is likely to get hit. I was just, the question was, what are the frustrating cards? And those are the frustrating cards that I've seen the most often, that definitely give you the feels of frustration. I just bought Thena from the Spotlight. And the Edamame, the good thing is, even if she does get hit, they've been doing a good job of hitting cards without making them completely unplayable. And so hopefully that remains the case if she does get hit. So Spider Ham comes down. It hits our Kate Bishop, unfortunately, because that does help out our curve. Let's see if we can still hold it down. You get Werewolf for 3. I'm going to go ahead and play our Pig down. I think we'll get the extra energy from Castle Blackstone as well. So if we end up drawing into Wiccan, then we should be able to play it on 3. Otherwise, we have the Hood plus Werewolf.
Hey, welcome.
And then
it took you long enough.
Elitist Ed, thank you so much for the Prime sub and the support. Hopefully you're having a fantastic day so far. I appreciate you being here. So we do get Wiccan early. Let's go ahead and play Wiccan down. Next turn would be something like Werewolf Hood. As someone who took Sandman to Infinite, I think he's prime for a nerf. And I think the hard thing about Sandman is, yes, he's a frustrating deck, but he's a lever that we definitely need. And he only kind of rose up in popularity because of how frequently Thena is being played. All right, so let's go ahead and go Werewolf. We can go Hood Falcon. Gives us a couple of bounces on Werewolf. We pull back into our resources. It would be nice to be able to draw into Beast before the end of the game, or I guess next turn would be the most ideal spot for him, but we'll see. What do you think about Wiccan Toxin Bounce? I haven't seen a build, and I haven't tried it, Bot Itch, but it sounds very interesting. So Cassandra, Mysterio, Sentry, we have to be on the lookout for both Annihilus and Cersei over here in the right lane. Something like Hawkeye. Maybe it's Hood, Hawkeye. Hit Monkey. Do we cap out the right lane just in case? We can always pull it away with the Werewolf, and then the Hit Monkey gives us a pretty big target over here. I think I'm going to cap out the right lane just in case they go with the Annihilus line. It's turn 5, by the way. Yeah. So the reason I was playing everything out so heavy was if they have a Annihilus, the Hood or the Void can be very detrimental. And by capping it out with the Werewolf, we can always pull him out later. Hopefully to find the win, but we'll see. And so the Viper comes in, and so because we capped it out, they are unable to get rid of the Void. They have to rely on Cersei now, which is not huge. We also don't have a way to pull the Werewolf away, which is also real bad. Any of our other cards for a top deck would have worked from that on reveal perspective. Shang-Chi would have been the perfect one here. I'm going to stick it out. I think we probably lose the game off of it, but I'm going to stick it out just to see what their final finisher was. So the Cersei could always be sporadic. No, it looks fine unless... Wait a minute. The White Tiger evolution stabbed them in the back. We're able to hold down the left, hold down the right. We'll take the undeserved, unwarranted 2 cubes. But if that's what it takes to get our first win of the day, we'll take it. A bad RNG. So, sometimes you take luck. Sometimes it comes down to skill play. Sometimes you take the opponent having bad RNG. Is Kitty Pride in this deck to help with the Wiccan curve? Yeah. Yep, to help with the Wiccan curve. And if you're playing her repeatedly, that way you can also like proc your Hawkeye or the basic arrow from Kate Bishop. You can proc it a little bit easier and not cap out that location. That's true, Cup. That's true. All right, next up we have KM Worst. The first location ends up being Danger Room. We don't get any of our 1 costs, unfortunately, but the good thing about this deck is that it doesn't rely solely on Wiccan, it just helps out quite a bit. So we do get Werewolf, which is a nice touch. Let's go Kate Bishop. Next turn we'll do Werewolf into maybe an Acid Arrow from Kate Bishop. No such luck. We have the Grapple and the Pim Arrow. With Quantum Realm, we can typically win that one with something like Werewolf. The Pim Arrow helps us out there as well.
Opponent snapped.
I don't necessarily want to duplicate the Werewolf. Usually having 2 moving pieces is not great. Ends up being more trouble than it's worth. Ooh, the Sage in mid. Can get big over time. With the Nightcrawler with the Sage, I'm thinking this is the Namora deck, is what I would imagine it is. Our own reveals in hand aren't great, though. Two plays. She said duplicate werewolf gets too confusing too fast. I agree. And it's really hard to navigate it and make sure that it ends up where you want it to go. So it is the Namora stuff, which I think we probably bow out of this one. Because they can move the Nightcrawler. They end up getting like a Namora or even White Tiger could end up being really good because they get 8, 16, 32 in either the left or right. There's not a whole lot that we can do about it. But since we've already accepted the snap, we're going to stick it out for 1 turn. I think this is White Tiger into the Nightcrawler move. Jackie Tolino, thank you so much for resubbing with your Prime sub for the 2nd month. I appreciate having you here. Hopefully you're having a fantastic day so far. And so then they move the Nightcrawler into Odin mid, so Sage gets really, really big, and they're going to put 8 power Tigers all across the board, which becomes really tough to deal with unless you have the deck that can just high roll to beat the 32 power in a lane. Or if you have like something that can stop the Wong, or if you have like a Cosmo, Rogue, Enchantress, could disrupt it quite a bit. And then that dude, though, thank you so much for resubbing with your Prime for the 3rd month. I appreciate having you here. Hopefully you're having a fantastic one so far. And so a Nightcrawler move into Odin gives them way more than what we can deal with in mid. but it'd be 8, 10, 11 if we had Shang-Chi. This would be 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Into Kate Bishop Wright, which I don't think would win it for us. With an Odin, they're going to get 4 more Tigers. Unless 3 of them went left and only 1 went right, I think that would be our only chance. But they moved the Nightcrawler. I think they always move it over to the left. Oh, you do have priority. True.
Escape.
It's also true. Eric Kinney, thank you for that. Thank you for the call out. We got there eventually, but Shang is just points. It wasn't supposed to be. It was supposed to be able to match the Sage and counter the Sage, but so not off to a hot start. We may switch over to the Binks special. With the slight modification. I think the biggest change would be the Absorbing Man instead of Shang-Chi in the second deck I have prepped. But even getting the Wiccan off, we haven't had a huge success. So we'll see. And then Calibrex on the YouTube side said the video title name got me. I had to click. I appreciate you being here. If it takes a witty title, then I'm all for it. That means I've met my people. Wrathchild, thank you for being here. Thank you for the resub with your Prime for the 5th month. Huge support. Hopefully you're having a fantastic week so far. Let's go ahead and play Kate Bishop over into the Hawkeye lane. We will have a plethora of 1 costs to be able to utilize on 3 into a Wiccan on 4 if we don't draw something better like Werewolf. And then Shiva on the YouTube side, welcome in. Hopefully you're having a fantastic day so far. Glad you could join us. We do get the Werewolf, which is huge. Let's go ahead and play Werewolf mid. Next turn is going to be Wiccan. The only scary bit becomes the Vault. We don't have any cards that necessarily scale after the fact. And so if we do something like Falcon, we leave just a very small amount of power into that left lane.
I'm about to juice this up.
Moon Girl is not great for us. We have a lot of 1-cost cards now to use, but our hand is very, very full. Let's go ahead and play Wiccan over to the left. The Aeon, welcome in. I'm doing well so far. We've had a pretty good week. This card release has definitely been lower on a lot of people's radar, and I think that's because he's kind of a difficult one to build around. But that poses a very interesting challenge, and so I like to always see if we can come up or crack a hard to build around card to make it incredibly viable. So something like Ajax was super like I was very down on it, and then finding a way to fit it into like that 2-piece hazmat Ajax engine kind of broke it open and gave it some possibility and gave it some life. I think maybe Wiccan is even harder to build around than like an Ajax. So we can do something like Falcon. Maybe we go Dara. Thank you so much for the raid, Dara, with 133 people. Everybody coming in, pumping it up. I appreciate the raid. Hopefully you had a fantastic stream. Was it a short stream? But either way, hopefully you had a fantastic stream. I appreciate you guys being here. Hopefully you all are having a fantastic week. We were running something that is probably too big for my brain right now. We're running a bounce Wiccan deck. And so once we have a billion energy, my brain loses track. He was IRL rock climbing. They were rock climbing huge, Dara. I knew that you were a rock climber, but I haven't seen any footage or the stream. He was climbing, not pumping for once. And then Lenumi said bounce Wiccan. So mad it might work. Yeah, I think it's a decent idea, but it ends up being really tricky to navigate.
Escaped.
Is it worth spending any keys on the spotlight or just saving? I'm aware Wiccan sucks, but I'm not sure of the others. So Loki has been a prevalent part of the game since release, no matter when he was nerfed, and I think right now he's really good in a like good card shell. So I think Loki is still very much playable. And then what's the other one? Pixie. Pixie's definitely more in, for me, she's in the fun category. She's very niche. She's fun to play sometimes, but it's one of those that sometimes even when you get the perfect curve, you're not going to have a good enough payoff to make it worthwhile. Move 7 cards is the worst bounty. I actually really enjoy it with Werewolf. So all of these, just while playing Werewolf, Werewolf being the only card that moves, you can complete the move 7. And so I've been enjoying it this week. It is time for a really quick ad break, and so we're going to jump over to that, and then I'll launch here in just a second. That way you guys don't miss any gameplay. We will be right back. Don't you go anywhere, you guys. And then Booter snaps. Loki is definitely worth getting. Yeah, Loki is definitely worth like a key or pulling for, because he's been viable since his release. He's been broken for a good part of it too, and he's been through several rounds of nerfs, and he's still very much viable. I opened for Pixie. Unfortunately, I got Wiccan and 1,000 tokens before getting her. Murdoff, that is unfortunate. Hopefully somebody is able to break Wiccan open so that he feels playable or viable. We haven't seen it yet, but I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that so far, or since any card that's come out that gives you extra energy has usually eventually at one point or another been very strong. And so hopefully that's the same case for Wiccan. I'm just hoping that it takes a little bit to break him open and find a way to make him viable or at least decent. Two Play said, I disagree. Destroy 8 is the worst. It's easy to get like 6 or 7, but the last destroys for whatever reason. You can kind of manipulate it, right? With the destroyed 8 in one match. I haven't picked any of those up, but I feel like you could. Huffing that copium. That is what we live on in TLSG world, is just straight copium. And sometimes it doesn't happen. So like Howard, he's never been meta relevant. He's never been even that good. Like he's found his way into a few builds, but he really wasn't the determining factor. I think Wiccan has a much better shot at being relevant than Howard. That still doesn't say a whole lot. And then Agent Smith, he said, have you considered a good Wiccan or Pixie deck? They seem to both need the same requirements. I haven't tried one, and usually Pixie, you need something super greedy to have a good payoff. And so I haven't really built around it too much, but Lee, he said watching Spyro play Wiccan earlier, and he was not having a good time. I could see that. I could see a lot of losses coming from the Wiccan line. You said both in the same deck. Yeah, but you still have to go super greedy. And so the energy curve, I don't think for a typical Pixie deck, I don't think you usually use the like 1, 2, 3 curve. You'd rather have like Pixie a couple of lower cost cards or kind of mid cards and then a couple of really costly cards. So I don't know that it's the exact same. Well, he ended stream because he was mad at Arsham. It wasn't, yeah. There are a lot of people that are frustrated at Arsham. We'll see if that ever changes. It can be very frustrating if I'm facing Arsham and it feels like every single game That's the only part where it starts feeling problematic to me. Otherwise, it doesn't really bother me too much. I'm not sure I see the Wiccan Pixie relation. Yeah, I'm not sure I'd follow the strand either, Lenum. So now we have a lot of extra energy. We can do... something like Nico. Shang-Chi. East Bounce. It'll pull Werewolf left, right, and then left, and we get a copy of the Shang-Chi to use on the last turn. Sandman? Sandman could have been a concern for sure. I'm glad it wasn't, but it could have been. If you bounce the peaked Hawkeye, will he be 3 cost or 0? He'd be 3 cost. Whenever you bounce it back in, it stays with that inversion. I see some deck building synergy. Pixie and Wiccant both want low cost or high cost. Yeah, but typically with Pixie, you go like Wasp or like a couple of 0 cost cards. So Wasp, Yellow Jacket, which feel like a direct constraint to like the Wiccan building. How many games have you gotten in with Wiccan Bounce? How's he feeling? We've only gotten a handful, and he's felt not great. Our stats I haven't looked at the stats, but it hasn't been great so far. He feels we're able to get the drop very frequently, but the amount of times that it gives us a big enough payoff to warrant it has been much further between. So Falcon, or maybe it's Falcon, Rocket. No matter how I look at it, I'm not seeing it. I think this one ends up being a loss too. How many games have you gotten in? Let's see.
Iron Man.
6 games now, and we're able to get the Wiccan down. It just ends up being that Werewolf becomes our only win lane, and so finding a secondary one has been really problematic. Like, this should be very winnable. Oh, it just didn't get there. But I do think that completes our Alliance bounty. So I'm going to pivot into the more good card style. And see if we do any better with that one. So this one is closer to what Binks ran or posted about yesterday, but the biggest change would be that we dropped Shang-Chi in favor of Absorbing Man. So that gives us a secondary line for either like another Alioth, so you can drop Alioth on 5 and 6. You can get a secondary Cassandra. You lose on that controllable counter tool, but I do like the Absorbing Man. The secondary Doctor Doom, I think is a pretty fun line to be able to lean into. So I'm going to pivot over to this instead. What do you think of Ajax as a telecard for all the -2s? I don't think the payoff is all that great. I mean, I think it'd be okay, but I don't think it would break it open. Get out your move, destroy Dino deck. We'll build one real fast. Should I splurge on Wiccan 16,000 collection and also missing Pixie? He feels very skippable, but with that being said, energy cheat is usually ends up finding itself into at least a handful of decks. I'm kind of hoping that Wiccan can do the same thing. He said Hella normally only discards like 3 cards. Yeah, that's like a 5. It'd be like a 5, 11, or 13, right? You said Copycat is a 3/5 Nocturne? Insane value for us. Let's go Acid Arrow, and they went with the greedier Quicksilver Domino. And so if they're going and shooting for a really big payoff, maybe we can punish that. Ooh, the Red Guardian hits the left lane. Not fantastic for us. But the Acid Arrow ending up being -4 is pretty decent. Depending on what we top deck here. Legion. We can go with a turn 4 Legion. Make all of the locations Necrotia. Is Wiccan worth it? From what we've seen so far, not really. Energy cheat always poses an interesting build around like potential to like be broken wide open. But as far as what we've seen right now, not really. Maybe somebody is coming later. Yeah, it may be one kind of like Sage, I guess, is the closest example. So kind of like Sage, where on release it wasn't incredibly great, but finds itself viable later. I think Wiccan definitely is harder to build around than Order. So whatever we play is going to pull over here now. And we don't have initiative for something like an Eliath. Do Dr. Doom. If they do maybe an Ultron with the Sandman line, I'm not sure why they'd be going Ultron. Curious what their payoff is, though. Because Wiccan into extra energy into Sandman feels strange. Like it feels like it directly contradicts what you want to do. Other than maybe just looking for that tempo or that value. Sandman makes me thirsty. Hydra King, thank you for the hydrate reminder. I'm curious what their in-game payoff is, and so I'm going to stick it out, knowing that we're very likely to lose. Or not. So Miss Marvel Jeff for that final finisher. And that's what I've been seeing with a lot of Wiccan decks, is people have found ways to make sure that it's able to be dropped, or you're able to consistently like proc his effect. But is the payoff on those last 2 turns worth it? And from what we've seen, for the most part, most of the time, no, not yet. Because 2 extra energy on the last turn, you can do a 6 and a 2. If it was even like a 6 and a 3, that could open up some possibilities.
Hey, welcome. It took you long enough.
And then Demon Jr., thank you so much for the Prime sub. The card generating build is good at it. I could see yeah. I could see the card generating effect being pretty prominent, because then you have so many random tools and a lot more way to utilize your energy with stuff like Loki and Coulson. Yeah. From what we've seen with the card generating, did it also use like Collector, Maria Hill? I feel like everything is good with Loki right now. I feel like Loki has a lot of strengths, yeah. Yes, you said K and Beth seemed enamored with Wiccan last night. I really like the idea of Wiccan. But finding a way to make it consistently viable and valuable, I think, is the struggle that we find ourselves in. I'm waiting to see someone build a Wiccan plus Arshan build. I'm sure that it's been done. I'm sure that it has been done. So with the Quicksilvers, we both know that we were going for the Wiccan. We both missed it. But we have the Absorbing Man to copy the Cassandra Nova. We're going to double negative afflict their cards. We do have Copycat. That is their Dr. Doom. Loki needs a whole new ability. I don't think... Maybe. Yeah, because I think he's still very, very strong. All right, let's go Copycat, Kate Bishop. All of their cards are going to have the -2 affliction, which helps us out a decent amount. Oof. Into the Dr. Doom that we have stolen from them is nice to see. We have the Acid Arrow on... Ooh, or... Legion to rip away Limbo on turn number 6. But we end up getting the retreat instead. Brang, you said, to be honest, if he didn't draw, he would probably be fine. What, from the double negative affliction from Cassandra? It just makes it just puts a really big constraint on like their how much reach they have for the rest of the game. Knight, welcome in. We did end up hitting your Dr. Doom, which ended up being real big. Oh no, I was talking about Loki. Gotcha. Yeah, if he didn't draw, so he's like a better crystal in every way, shape, or form. Since he draws one-sided, the opponent doesn't draw, but you do, and it reduces the cost, and it gives you their resources. And so I agree. And then Colin, you said, is Wiccan worth using keys for? Right now, we haven't seen anything that just blows him out of the water, that just completely stands out. I think he's an interesting card, giving you some extra energy cheat. It's a very big or new deck building constraint that we haven't really seen before. And so, I don't know. I think it's a hard one to answer. I think as of right now, probably not worth it. Do streamers say welcome in? Or welcome in? I think I say welcome in. But he offers a really big deck building constraint, whereas something like Arisham, you get that extra energy and you don't have to do any kind of... You don't have to put any bad cards in your deck. So something like Quicksilver, otherwise, not a very good card. So let's go ahead and go Copycat. See if we can end up getting our Wiccan down. They get an early Sarah. So they're going to be able to do quite a bit of play, even without the extra energy from Wiccan. Do something like Pim Arrow, Grapple Arrow, Jeff. Copycat is Marvel Boy. That is a big blob. Let's see, Gamora, Arisham are the only two that were hit. Arisham puts a bunch of bad cards in your deck. It does, Sia, but with something like Quicksilver, you're guaranteed to draw that bad card every single game, as a way to try to enable the extra energy. For Arsham, sometimes it's not going to guarantee that you get those bad cards. You could even get two Quicksilvers. You could. Not super likely, but you absolutely could. Go ahead and drop Legion and see what happens from there.
I still believe in heroes.
So the Miles, the Nick Fury, the blob in mid is huge. But we could do something like this. They'll have to compete for all 3 lanes. Bad Time Barry, you said, do you think old Adam Warlock would have been good with the new Loki, or is that Cope? I think it would have been okay with the new Loki. So I was always a fan of using it in like the very pinpointed decks that wanted like your specific combos. I was always pretty big on it there. The old one, I think, was a lot easier to drop down. The opponent knew it was coming, and so I liked to use it in a way to enable like your Guardians of the Galaxy, because you knew that they were going to be fighting or competing for that location. The new one just comes down too late to really be viable, from what I've seen. He said, hopefully they can improve Wiccan, because I'm a huge fan of him. I think from what we've seen, if a card is performing poorly, they're willing to make pretty quick changes to it. And so I think the over-the-air, those are probably locked in place. Patches come out a little bit later, but maybe we see something changed on like the follow-up over-the-air. That way they have a decent amount of data. Glenn did say the 5-5 stats were better than the 2-0. I can't see any way to want to build a new Adam Warlock. Like, it's usually just so late in the game that it doesn't have a huge payoff. They never changed Valentina. Honestly, I think Valentina's okay. There's a few shells that you drop her in, like if you're wanting to run Luke Cage, she gives you a discounted 6 cost. I think she performs decently for what she is. Let's go ahead and play Zabu over into the left. That way, if we don't draw Wiccan, then we can go Cassandra Nova and still use all of our energy. Plastic, yeah. You said energy cheats they have to be very careful with. I agree. I agree, because energy cheat can get out of hand very, very fast. Let's go ahead and go... Actually, kind of like the Captain Marvel play here. I know Cassandra Nova gives us a decent bump, but... I'm going to go ahead and go Cassandra Nova. Negatively afflict their side of it. I don't know what knobs you would turn on Wiccan. I don't either. Because the 3 cost is, I think, way too cheap for what Wiccan should and needs to be. All right, let's go ahead and go with a second Cassandra Nova. We're going to play it over to the right, just in case they Shadow King or Shang-Chi this middle lane. We at least have some development in the other sides. Maybe make him 5/10 with 5 extra power. But by turn 5, it's at that point it's way too late as well, right? So we can use it into the last turn. Maybe that would allow us to do like Eliath plus Jeff somewhere, depending on where they play this turn. They already gave him power. Not sure what's next. Yeah, the amount of energy maybe, but +3 seems like it'd be wild. And even because you have to be really careful with how much you're adjusting how much energy you get. Because then even if it's tough to make happen, you could just have an absolute unit if done incorrectly. So the Kyera comes down, just the Kyera. So they had, what, 7 energy and they used 3? So She-Hulk could be 1 cost, right? Or maybe they just didn't have any great follow-up. I'm going to go with an Eliath mid, just in case they're going something like Shang-Chi or even Captain Marvel. And I'm going to go ahead and just play the Jeff over to the right. Sadly, going to have to pass on Wiccan. I think that's probably a safe call. I don't think he's crazy. I think he does have potential, but only time will tell. So the She-Hulk in the left, and then the Hulk in mid. Unfortunately, they were not going for the counterplay. They were just going for good big bodies. The C looks like G. A little confusing. It can get kind of confusing. But it's Wiccan. It wigs me out. General Sergeant, welcome in. How's the stream been so far today? The stream hasn't been too bad. We haven't been winning very much. We've, I think we're about even. We haven't been winning too much, but the spirits are high. We had Dara, who was doing some in real life rock climbing, pop in. We had Binks stop by in the first like 30 seconds of the stream. And so it was like we summoned him from wherever, just by saying his name, because this build that we're running right now is very similar to Binks's build from yesterday. But we ended up leaning a little bit heavier into like the On Reveals and the Absorbing Man instead of Shang-Chi. Have you tried Gwynpool with Wiccan, Zabu, and Psylocke? I haven't. What my first brew with it was something that I wanted to try to be, or I was looking to be kind of greedy on. But I just didn't get enough payoff from it often enough. And so I even looked at a couple of like Wong builds into like some heavy combo stuff, which when they worked, great. But when they didn't, not so great. Let's go ahead and play Absorbing Man into mid. We'll copy the Cassandra Nova. We always have Doctor Doom to drop on the final turn in the Eternals arc lane. The Shadow King was unfortunate. So we can do Legion into the Eternals arc. That will make the last remaining location this left one instead of this middle one. And so I think they'll play here, assuming that this gets locked down, but this is going to be the one that's open going into the final turn. About even, the classic Gamblers report. Gotta love it. They didn't play in the left, and they opened up the right lane. Nocturne Mystique, not a great lane for him. Oh no, it's not open. So we win here heavily. They can move the Nocturne, and so if they have something that's just a high raw value card, then they can beat us in the left lane. Because like a Nocturne, if the real Mysterio is there, that could do it. But I'm hoping that they don't have quite enough. The raw value is too good. I feel like another 4-drop worth ramping into would be good in that build. Oh, and into this build that we're running. But then you have to... Is it worth cutting the consistency of like your 3 drops or your 2 drops? So I'm not sure. Yeah, the Mockingbird... The Mockingbird after the Cersei was a good follow-up. That makes sense why they played over there, but had we not done the Legion, I think we would have been fine. Legion is such a sweet card. I enjoy Legion. Legion has so many applications that can be so detrimental to the opponent and what they're wanting to do. And so it's kind of like an Eliath. When it's not common, it is so strong as that surprise factor. Well, we're not getting Wiccan this game. Yeah, we got rid of our Quicksilver. And then District X. This one's probably going to go down as a loss. Maybe we have to just crash the Wiccan altogether. With this build, we're 3 and 2 right now. So I'm going to run it about the same amount that I ran the other one. So about 10 games to give it a decent sample. Locations taketh and they giveth. So with District X, you'll never see Wiccan. You guys are absolutely right. We are never going to see Wiccan. I think I'm just going to go ahead and curve the Absorbing Man out. I am worried about the Forge into, like, Brood, into maybe Absorbing Man. Ooh, Cassandra Nova. Slight Ajax synergy if we play any of the cards that were afflicted by Cassandra. Definitely not great. Scar. Pretty rough. So then even something like Magneto over to the left would pull their Cassandra out, but we wouldn't be able to overpower this lane, I don't think. Unfortunate.
Escaped.
And then Way of the Heaven, you said, is Wiccan good? I would probably say no. But anytime we've seen energy cheat, maybe it just takes somebody cracking it open to figure out where that big
Hey,
payoff
welcome.
is,
It took you long enough.
to make it feel viable. But so far, I would be inclined to say probably not. And then Naptown Shocker, thank you so much for the Prime sub and the support. That pushes us up to 4 for the day. Wiccan player won. The Wiccan player did, in fact, win that game.
Snap.
But for this one, even if we don't end up playing Wiccan, which we have the perfect line, but we have the Quicksilver into Kate Bishop into Cassandra Nova copy, and having Cassandra Nova copy and Clothing Vats is so much value. So we're going to snap into it early. They had the Agent 13, so they could be going with the card generation Wiccan deck. Let's see. Going to play Kate Bishop over to the right. Next turn is going to be our Cassandra Nova in the left. Into Wiccan on 4, and we'll fill it out from there. We could actually do Cassandra Chimichanga. We get 2 Cassandra Nova copies. But I want to wait a turn. I'm going to copy our second buffed up Cassandra instead of the first. Have you tried Cerebro 7 with Wiccan? No, no, I haven't. I don't have War Machine, though, so I'm not able to try it as well. Okay, let's go ahead and go Wiccan. Grapple Cassandra? Ooh, Grapple Cassandra can be OP too, yeah. Plus we have the Chimichanga. So we're gonna have a lot of Cassandras come like floating around. Weird, you said I'm winning with Wiccan, but my deck is very odd. I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued, Doctor Strange. All right, so something like Grapple Arrow. And that makes it a 50-50 if our Chimichanga hits what we want. I guess we're just going to copy the original Cassandra in the left lane. This lane becomes kind of iffy, though. War Machine coming spotlights next month. Yeah, I'm holding out for that. I think it's 2 months from now it comes out, but... Double Wiccan, we don't get a huge payoff going into turn 6 from it. And so I think we'd get more benefit from like scaling Cassandra in extra time. But with Strange Academy, it becomes very congested all across the board very, very quick. We have 2 big Novas to use. Let's see what goes to the right, to the left. Our Cassandra goes over to the right, but if they generate anything else, so any other cards, the collector for their end could scale. I think they copied these 2, right? They always outscale us. This would be 12, 16, which doesn't beat what they have here. Collector beats the Cassandra. Unfortunate.
Escaped.
I haven't tried the collector version of it. How consistent is it that copy Cassandra? It's still brutal, but they had the collector to be able to offset it, so they didn't really need any of the cards that were getting negatively afflicted anyways. Collector is the way. Collector may be the way. I mean, it's easy to say that whenever you're facing with a cloning bats, though. So it might be the way. Collector, the forgotten early scaler. He used to be absolutely wild before they toned him down. He was very frustrating, and that was before we had a Shadow King to be able to offset him. So you had to just rely on like a Shang-Chi if he got big enough. We can either go Zabu or Kate Bishop. Let's go Zabu just in case we top deck into Wiccan. Ongoing Zabu would be good. Miss him. I do miss the old Zabu for sure. I think a lot of the 4-cost cards have been toned down enough that we could probably get by with the closer to original, like, ongoing Zabu. But I'm not sure that that's a wound that they're ever going to be willing to reopen. Evil, welcome in. Hopefully you're having a fantastic day so far. Thoughts on Wiccan so far? It's a bit rough. It's a bit rough, Mojo. The pixel variant of Prime subs, Mr. Carrier, welcome in. Thank you so much for resubbing for the 3rd month. I appreciate you. Welcome back one additional time. So we have the big Cassandra. We have Jeff as our payoff card, or we can stop Nebula from scaling at least. But with Central Park, we're running out of space very, very fast. So it's either Legion, or we do something like Acid Arrow here. General Sergeant, you said. Palpatine. That's what we're feeling, at least. I might be inclined to like move the Jeff over to the right.
Oh, snap.
Move Jeff to the left. I don't think they play in the left this turn, Mr. Mist. Legion mid, but then it wouldn't cap them out here. I think it's Jeff over to the right.
Victory.
Yeah. If you Legion left, but if they don't play over here, we would move Jeff to the right, not the left, right? Because I think they're very likely to play here this turn. Anyways, they retreated, so it didn't matter. Benny, you said I think he's good where he's at. They already added power, so what else could they do? Hopefully nothing, because I'm happy, because I'm skipping him and don't want to regret it. I mean, I think it's okay to have some cards that don't have big payoffs for a while. And then Chill, welcome in. Hopefully you're having a fantastic day so far. We do have the 1, 2, 3 Wiccan drop. So I am going to snap into it. We don't have a like incredibly over-the-top finisher, though, is the only potential problem. They need to fix Kang. I would like Kang to be playable. And so I agree. As he is right now, he's definitely not playable. So the Wasp comes down. We're looking at a Patriot build. Let's go Wiccan on 3. Maybe we can hit them with an Goliath onto like their last turn payoff. Maybe they're going with the Pixie deck. I'm not sure why they would play Wasp out early though. All right, so we're gonna go Kate Bishop into Cassandra Nova. Given the multiverse, and what if it's in the MCU, it would be cool if have a retreat, but let this play out to see what happens button, like what if. I think it would be cool to see. They do cap themselves out in the right lane.
Opponent snapped.
So with this, it'll be a question of, can we hit their Goliath with whatever we need to? Or not there. Can we hit whatever we need to with our Goliath? So I think we maintain initiative going to the final turn. They may do something like Sandman. Sandman's big. I feel like they have to Ultron here. So then it becomes just an Goliath left, and we outscale their 8 power. Or, so at 13, it'd be 2 for... They might go Ultron mid, yeah. Ultron mid would end up being 8 extra power, but we would beat it with the Jeff move. Doom play around both? I don't think Doom would win, right? So an Ultron here would scale 2, 4, 6, 7. I guess it does play around both of them. 8, 9. So Doom to the right.
Doom rules all.
There's no strings on me.
Good call, chat. Good call with the Doom play around. That way we didn't have to gamble on a 50-50 of can we counter their Ultron. Robert Downey Jr. with the win. Coming in with the win. How do we feel about him being Doom? I'm both excited and just a little bit maybe sad, because it could have been, you know, another actor's big break into like some kind of monumental role. But I think it's definitely the like safer to make sure that they have somebody with a lot of good attention and draw that will get people excited. I think RDJ will do great, but have reservations about the writing around him. That's true. I think, yeah, I think you're probably right. The writing could definitely make or break it. After Far From Home and Deadpool, it really feels like Marvel is out of anything but Remember This Face. I could see that. I haven't seen Deadpool yet, but I do know that there's a lot of like cameos in it. All right, let's go ahead and lock in the Quicksilver. We have Zabu, so if we draw into Wiccan, that's a turn 3 Wiccan again. We also have the Psylocke, but I'm going to go Zabu instead, just in case we draw into like Copycat or Cassandra. I don't want to shoot ourselves from being able to play Wiccan on 4. It still might be. What if? So maybe main Doom is also introduced. It might be. Yeah, he may not be like the forever Doom. It may just be like the face to introduce it. What could have been if Majors didn't have the issues he had? Yeah, I agree. What could have been? So we're still hanging in there with using all of our energy, but it's not great. We don't have a lot of board development. We have the Legion to come down next turn, but that's just so-so. We're only going to drop one card, so maybe something like Legion left into Doom Finisher. Is the Untapped not working? We lose the rock that they gave us, but that's fine. And Proxima. 7 brings us to 16. We would be pushing a tie here, pushing a little bit more power into the others. Would you try my Wiccan deck and see if it's trash? I've won 5 in a row so far. What is your Wiccan deck? We can take a look at it.
Doom rules all.
All right, so the big stature. I thought it was probably unlikely to win that one, because even though we were able to use all of our energy, we just didn't have a lot of things being developed on the board. Fraser said, well, at least they called him Victor Von Doom on stage. So it should be the real Dr. Doom, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they build it up. I think he'll do a good job in the role, but the writing, I think, is going to be the big piece of it. That if it's evil Tony Stark, I'm less upset. If it's just him as a new character, yeah, I agree. I think it's supposed to be like an evil timeline version of Iron Man that turned into Doctor Doom instead. But I think we'll have to see how they write it out. So Quicksilver Domino for the guaranteed 1/2. Cassandra, Magic, Killmonger, Surfer, Phastos. So for the 3, the Absorbing Man, Wiccan. I kind of like it, Doctor Strange. So I was actually toying around with a Surfer Wiccan deck, but I decided to hold off on it until Quicksilver losing his card text. I know, it's so unfortunate. I decided to hold off on it at least until next week with Speed. I think Speed might be another kind of cool one to go alongside like that package that you've already built or started building up. Yeah, we have the Phoenix Force still, and so I'm gonna wait the turn and then we'll snap into it. Because if they heard the click, I didn't want them to know for sure that we stole something as big as that. But they also locked in their Human Torch, which was a bit unfortunate for them. He said I don't plan on getting Wiccan, so of course Speed is going to make the card amazing. I don't think even then it makes it amazing, but I think it may make it like better in like a kind of greedy Surfer shell. Then Keyrun on the YouTube side, I really hope it's the Victor Von Doom in Tony Stark's body root, because you love that story. Hopefully it's something like that, where they can explain why it's the same actor, but not necessarily like the line where it's not like true Victor. I had a weird bug earlier where Quicksilver started in my hand, but he was copycatted. So he was on the bottom of the deck for copycat, but then his ability still worked for him. start in the hand. Ooh, that is kind of a weird one, Boomer Girl. Because with it being stolen, it technically shouldn't. Technically shouldn't pull into your hand at that point, I wouldn't think. 8 Qs versus a turn 2 Loki Arsham feels so good. I mean, sometimes you get the high roll. All right, let's go ahead and go Cassandra Nova into Crown City. Start fighting for that one a bit. And then we have the Absorbing Man as the follow-up if we don't draw into our Wiccan. And then we said, to put it simply, the route I'd go is Robert Downey Jr. as the actor, but you almost never see his face. And when you do, it's the Doom ego. Overcorrected perceived flaw and scarred his face with his molten mask root. I think, I don't know. Hopefully the writing is really good and like brings it together, because I feel like Marvel needs something really big and epic, like this really big build up like we had with Thanos. Because nothing since then has felt just incredible. Everything from that point has just felt okay. Like it's been another superhero movie. Nothing absolutely wrong with it, but nothing to like really get hyped about. So Captain Marvel, Claw. Is this going to be an Onslaught? Onslaught could be scary. Pulling into a Legion could have been good here, but fortunately we did not find it. Let's see what we hit with our Goliath. Maybe the Onslaught. Ooh, a big hit. So maybe the finisher. I'm not sure what the finisher is with the magic line. Maybe the finisher is Living Tribunal. The problem is that before there was hype, because it was like 1 or 2 movies a year. That's true. Now it's very, it feels like they're not anywhere near as like cohesive and like thought out. Let's do this, see if we can still overpower the right lane, but I think it becomes a bit tough. If they have anything big, I'm thinking they were leaning pretty heavily onto like maybe the Living Tribunal line. So the Goliath snipe stopped him out. Him for +1. Good call, 4. We're turning it around. We're maybe it's not as good. We're 6 and 5. So above a 50% win rate, but not impressive by any means. Next up, we have Milky Way. We do have the Quicksilver into a guaranteed 2-drop, so we can do Zabu.
Welcome. It took you long enough.
To hopefully the Wiccan line, but we'll see. And then Old School Alpha, thank you so much for the Prime sub and the support. I appreciate you being here. Hopefully you're having a fantastic day so far. Let's go with the Zabu line. Or actually, let's go the Psylocke line. That way, if we don't draw into Wiccan, we can do Jeff plus Zabu on turn number 3. It's an Arsham deck. I was wondering why they did a solo Deathlock to the side. We do get Wiccan, so extra energy. Bar Sinister becomes really tough. We can play Jeff over there. Maybe we get the Jeff down into a Legion somewhere else. We have our Goliath line. The random question, but maybe obvious. Is Wong your favorite Marvel character? Not necessarily my favorite Marvel character. I like how punny the name can be. So we can Legion this turn to make sure they stay out of Bar Sinister. We could do Jeff over in the Bar Sinister lane. We could also do like an Goliath. Nothing Legion last turn. So what I'm thinking instead, we can do Jeff, Bar Sinister. Next turn, do Legion in Space Throne. So the Legion mid next turn will be spicy. I agree. That's kind of the line I'm thinking. That way we lock them out of Atlantis. Maybe we trigger it with Bar Sinister as well.
Victory.
So we do get the retreat. Unfortunately, we don't get to see the fun one play out. But it was going to lock them in. We had the flexibility of the Jeffs to move kind of freely how we wanted to. We'll take the one. We'll take it where we can. And then Ray said, I hope you're having a good day. Thanks a lot for your brews. It helped me a lot. Thank you for being here, Ray. I wouldn't be able to do this without you guys being here to support the content. And so I'm very, very happy that I'm able to do this, and honestly that I'm able to consider potentially going full-time at it, which is something that I never would have thought would be possible, because I'm not like a super big like personality. So whenever I think of like content creator, I think of like Cozy, somebody that has like a really big personality that's really engaging and drawing. That's definitely not my personality, which is fine. But I'm glad that I'm still able to offer some entertainment for you guys. If that is like happy, wholesome, humble vibes, then even better. I'm glad that I can do this. He said, "Are you a full-time streamer now?" No, I'm not. I would like to be. I've been enjoying doing the streams quite a bit. I would like to be able to go full-time at it, but right now we haven't been able to make that jump. And so right now what I'm doing is I'm streaming pretty much every chance that I can. So I'm taking a few days off of work, using like my PTO or vacation time that I haven't used in like 5 years. And getting a much more accurate gauge of what the numbers would be like if I was to switch full time. And so if I could do what I did last month every single month, then I would have no problem going full time. But that still becomes a bit of a concern, or a bit of a scary point of not knowing exactly. So I want a couple of months data before we make any kind of decisions. Stupid family needs stupid insurance. That's true. We're not back to office yet, and so we were going to go back to office. They had us turn in our monitors and stuff, and then the hurricane hit. It did some damage to the building, and they haven't been able to fully fix it yet. And so we're still work from home for now. And then Packers, welcome in. Hopefully you're having a great one. And then Shorb said that, dude, the quality of your analysis is better than anyone else by far. And I think that's a big piece of my draw or appeal. And then also the like wholesome. Like we could go up against Arsham time and time again, but we're still positive or wholesome about it. My goodness, the Eliath absolutely ate us for dinner over here in the left lane. I was thinking we had a billion energy following up, but we do not have a billion energy. Lando, you said I'd lose my mind? Wait, what do you mean you'd lose your mind? This is why I retreat against Arsham? Yeah. Yeah, the Eliath was a crazy play. Unfortunate. But it's okay. Let's go double Cassandra. I think we still lose this one. Into their Wiccan to the right. I think we still always lose this one, but because they could have Shang-Chi, they could have Shadow King. I think there's just too many unknowns. So even if we did Absorbing Man, that would be 12 here. It might be better to do like the good old Doctor Doom. Ends up being 10, 15 power in mid, brings us up to 20. 10 over to the right. I'm not sure if it's an Arsham deck or a Loki deck. I didn't look at it to begin with. Oh my goodness, oh man, the Absorbing Man line would have been the route to victory, but these Goliath. Oh, Eliath is one of those cards that is just not fun. You're strong. You're a stronger man than me. It is. It's unfortunate. We did have a winning line there though, with I think. Maybe not. No, we didn't have. We didn't have a winning line. Oh well. How'd they get two? They did Loki into. Wait, no, this one is theirs. This one they stole with Loki. We should have retreated. That's all right. It does look like it is time for a really... If Doom popped off, you would have won. Yeah, had Doom popped off, had Wiccan popped off, but the Eliath counter was like perfectly timed. But it does look like it is time for a really quick set of ad break. I'm going to run to the restroom as they're running, and then we'll be right back. We'll continue maybe with this one maybe a little bit more. Let's see what our stats here are before I run away. 8 and 6. So we're 57%. I think we flesh it out and try it out a little bit further to see if we can kind of hold those stats. But we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere, you guys. And then Blue said, how is Wiccan so far? So far, Wiccan is very underwhelming. But it's okay. They can't all be winners. And so he feels playable, but he doesn't feel like broken by any means. It doesn't feel like he's going to do the heavy lifting for any of the decks that he's in. Dr. Strange said, I figured it out. With Wiccan, him teamed with Absorb and Nick Fury is lethal. I feel like it could, yeah. Loki as well. I feel like those could be some pretty good ways to make sure that you get use out of that full energy. He said Quicksilver is still not worth it. I think it depends. So if you're going super heavy into the Wiccan line and you don't want to build 3 to 4 1 costs, Quicksilver can be slotted in. But outside of that, I tend to agree. So in this one, I think it's okay. It gives us much more consistent way to focus the majority of our cards as those 2 costs, so that we can get that payoff. But and then Agent, you said, have you thought about adding Grandmaster to the deck? I haven't. At least not yet. I mean, Kate and Kitty are probably the best activators. Yeah, I mean, if you draw Kitty, absolutely. Same with the Kate Bishop. But the problem with it becomes, how often do you have Kitty in hand that early? And if so, you get much value out of the extra energy anyways. So the Collector, Angela line, once again, our Copycat steals their Kate Bishop. So let's go ahead and play. I'm going to play Copycat. We may do Legion to the left, depending on what their play is here. And then Diver, you said it's Wiccan's best deck I've seen. I'll check it out. I'll see if I can pull it up. Because this one has done okay. I mean, we're close to 60% win rate. They read my soul. They read my soul like a book with the Eliath every single time. Lanum said, I can't. I'm about to join you on that I can't train, Lanum. My goodness, what in the world? These Eliaths are getting out of hand. And this one was mine too, so it's my fault for building it in. So a lot of the ones we've seen were naturally mine, but my goodness. I need one redemption game with this one before I switch to like a collector build. I feel like I need one redemption. Doesn't even have to be a win. It just has to be we don't get Eliath. And then Alloy, you said I feel getting him to trigger in order to get a big payoff is a little on the rare side. Yeah, to the point where I feel something like a negative deck has an easier trigger and a higher ceiling. No, yeah. Alloy, I think, at least from what we've seen so far, I absolutely agree. It feels like you jump through a lot of hoops to make sure that he's active. But the biggest issue is, how does that win you the game from that point? With Mr. Negative, it's a lot of uncertainty for the opponent in what your follow-up or finishing plays are going to be. For this one, it's... what is it from there? You can't do anything absolutely crazy with the extra 2. And so you still have to set it up on 5 and 6. And what payoff is big enough to do that? So their Corvus... wait.
Gotta run, hun.
Their Arisham Corvus discarded their Arisham Helicarrier. Oh, so unfortunate.
Opponent snapped.
Wiccan feels like there's a lot of telegraphing from turn 1, which doesn't help. Yep, I agree. We're gonna bury this deck.
Escaped.
And then Kalisto. Yeah, so with the Ant command, if you wanted to help out the channel, both of the goals, so the first one is reach Queen level 5 and then rally attack. All in, it takes about 20 minutes. And it's like gifting 2 subs for each of those that you end up reaching. So it helps support me and support the channel. That wasn't a redemption game, was it? No, it wasn't. You're right. So we're jumping into one more. I get an extra energy now? Yeah. Yeah, and with the location set up, it was just not great. Not great at all. Then Chase, you said with Loki storming back so strong right now, I think I'll run a C3 deck. Yeah, C3 I think is really good against the Lokis. You have a lot of your counter tools, and if they steal your stuff, it's not great for them. Doctor Strange with the hydrate reminder, I appreciate you. Let's go. And Herbert has been cooking the last couple of days, and so I think they were running an Arisham build. No, not an Arisham build. An Annihilus build. All of the builds getting mixed up in my mind. I think they were running an Annihilus build. Or maybe it was just full-on, junk or clutter. But the rank number 6, and they've been cooking me the last couple of days. So I think we're going to give up on the Wiccan line. We have our Jeff into Cassandra Nova. We have Absorbing Man as the follow-up. Are you into the NFL at all? Not, I would say not heavily, but I follow it loosely. Usually it's on when I go to like social gatherings, but I would say I follow it very, very loosely, but somewhat. I've watched more basketball than football, but I have watched my fair share of both.
Opponent snapped.
Loki has been really good into Surfer for me. Wait, like you're running Loki and they were running Surfer? Or you're running Loki in your Surfer deck Diver? Wiccan or Wiccant? I'm thinking Wiccant. I'm thinking Wiccant. You think Second Dinner will nerf Loki again? I mean, maybe. We don't get a Doctor Doom now, which is unfortunate. Let's go Legion and we'll get Eliath. Loki versus Surfer. Gotcha. A lot of times it can be. As long as you don't like whiff your draws, a lot of times it does help that matchup quite a bit. I guess we could have played it into mid to hit Murder World again. So it's either something like Wiccan and Kate Bishop. I saw a Living Tribunal deck that blew you out and looked sort of interesting. I do like Living Tribunal decks. I think with how many people are dropping their like rogues and enchantresses, I think Living Tribunal is in a decent spot. But the best one I've played or has felt the best is like a negative Tribunal. We're gonna do this before we drop off. Not great. Not great at all. All right. Yep, can't beat the Mockingbird. The Cersei. We're gonna need better luck than that. I don't think there's any redeeming games. We were doing good, and then it just kind of quickly dropped off. Quincy, you said been using him with Quicksilver Domino, a bunch of threes, and Eliath. I've been having a crazy good win rate so far. My Eliath has been coming back to bite me. Anyone try Wiccan inside a Surfer deck yet? Yeah, so Doctor Strange, weird Doctor Strange, was in my chat. It said that he was running one. I thought about it, but then I decided to wait off on experimenting with it until Speed came out. Did you see KM's Wiccan list? No, I haven't. Did he tweet it out? Because otherwise, it's definitely feeling like we can't. KM was the collector one. You said Harry did, but it was meh. Kino, welcome in. Hopefully you're having a great day so far. Let me see if I can pull the collector one. The collector one that he was running doesn't use Quicksilver or Domino though, right? There's a couple of different ones, and I'll switch over so that you guys can see which ones I'm looking at. So there's a couple of different ones that I'm looking at, or that I see. The top one has a really low sample size, so probably not this one. I'd be more inclined to think like this one, but I think this is probably closer to what he went with, right? With the Loki line. I'm trying Wiccan in Monkey Wolf Bounce. It's super easy to trigger Wiccan without needing to use Quicksilver or Domino in the regular shell, but needs more spice to better take advantage of the extra energy. Mockingbird was Harry's. He said Filch's on profile so we can net deck decks with great stats. We won't be able to play as well anyways. I mean, we can. We can. Okay, I'm used Enchantress instead of Mockingbird. So this one, right? A lot of plays, like a 52% win rate. I'm going to try this one. KX, welcome in. Hopefully you're having a fantastic day so far. For some reason, my Untapped profile is not linked where it needs to be be able to share my stuff. But hopefully you're having a good day so far. Have you dumped the Wiccan stuff, or are you still experimenting with it? Or did you even start experimenting with it? And so the person that said the alloy, you mentioned using it in a bounce style shell. So the deck that I started off the day with was a Wiccan werewolf hit monkey bounce deck. And so I agree with what you said. It's very easy to make sure you trigger Wiccan, but my biggest issue was making sure I had a way to win the final lane or a second lane. But I tried that one at the start of stream. It didn't go as well as I would have liked. Been hearing a lot of different opinions on him. Yeah, so far he's been very skippable. I think all that it takes is one deck that breaks him open. But the biggest issue I've had is what payoff is big enough for constraining your deck building process. And so with the extra 2 energy, you can't really do anything like a 6 plus anything crazy to follow it up. And so I haven't felt anything was just overwhelmingly amazing that came out of him. And then I'm a Knight. Thank you so much for resubbing for the 2nd month with your Prime. I appreciate the support and appreciate you being here. After day 1, it seems like there isn't a consistency quite yet. Yeah, so Wiccan is definitely a tougher one to build around. And so I think it's all about finding a payoff that feels worthwhile to build or kind of constrain yourself that heavily. No Quinn is a bold choice. We're nothing if not bold. He's not as bad as people originally said. All right. So first up, we have Admiral Hawk. Maybe we can gamma win here. We have the Kitty Pride. We have Snow Guard plus Kitty on 2. Then it comes down to a 3 drop on 3, which we have either the Bear or the Hawk. So we'll be able to guarantee that we trigger Wiccan.
Oh, snap.
Snap into it. I feel like an Arsham nerf is coming. He is still like 5% more win rate than the other best decks. I think the biggest piece of Arsham that feels frustrating is how consistently he can get the cards that he needs, whether that be Shang-Chi, Blob, Loki, and so I wouldn't be surprised, but I also haven't heard them say anything like that it's on their radar. I know they typically won a couple of weeks, and so I don't know how Cassandra Nova has impacted the play rate or the win rate. All right, let's go ahead and use Hawk. Next turn is going to be Wiccan. We have the Devil Dino to potentially lean into. We'll see from there. I think the real question of Wiccan is, what is the jumping through the hoops of WinCon getting you? Yep, I agree, Lanum. So what is that payoff? And right now, it's not much. If you go super greedy, you could do those super greedy plays with the Wong Black Panther, or whatever end line you're going with. You can do it without Wiccan and without having to jump through those hoops. And so it's all about finding where that good balance is. Yeah, he'll need a unique payoff to him to make it breakthrough. Said Glenn said on Discord that if they would change, it would be to add cards. Yeah, that's the lever, which would decrease their the consistency that the deck has. Maybe we save Devil Dino to throw into the left lane. Something like Goliath. Goliath, Kitty Pryde. No, we don't have initiative. Maybe it's more so Cassandra, Marvel Boy. Kitty Pryde. We might end up just dropping Goliath as our turn 6 play, but it depends on what they get down here. Wow, that's a big Sarah. Big scary Sarah. I wonder if the lever of Arsham could be something like your hand starts with X cards. Maybe. I think the lever that they were looking at or eyeballing first was just flat amount of cards. So I don't think we win in the Warrior Fall location. We would need something like this. I don't think it feels great either. This is the Silver Surfer stuff. Without having initiative, our Goliath doesn't trigger. We can't retreat, so we have to stick it out. What is Speed's ability? So Speed gets extra power for every turn that you use all of your energy. So he's a 3-cost 3 power, but it's a +1. So the amount of scaling that he generates isn't an awful lot. Just secretly dial up the chance for Arsham to generate Agatha. I mean, they could. I don't think they'd do that, but they could. Maybe Arsham could only generate cards up to pool 2 or 3. See, but the issue with Arsham is not the cards that he generates. From what I've seen, for the most part, it's how frequently it feels like they draw their cards. Am I crazy for thinking Havoc might have a secret home with Wiccan? It might. It might, because, I mean, biggest drawback to Havoc is how susceptible he is to Shadow King. I wish Arsham could generate cards that were already in your deck.
Found the rock.
He can't? I didn't realize that he couldn't. Add Luke Cage. Luke Cage, Shadow King gets around Luke Cage now. Doctor Strange. Because Shadow King now kind of eliminates the modifiers. Since, I want to say it was last patch, or last over the air. A couple weeks. We do have the collector line. We have the Cassandra Nova, Agent Coulson to generate cards. And then 2-place. I mean, what if Arsham had the same text of Thanos with start in your hand? That could be another trigger that they pull at some point. I feel like this one's a kind of a fun line. We're going to destroy the Wolverine. We'll draw into additional cards. We'll have a pretty good chance of drawing into Wiccan by turn 4. Then we can start focusing on like the collector generation or figuring out how do we win from here. So there is the Wiccan. have Korg, Hood, Demon. I'm thinking this is a bounce deck. And so I'm going to snap into it because I don't think they're going to have a lot of reach in Kiln. And I'm hoping that we'll be able to keep a couple of our big cards over there by the end of the game. We also have Kitty Pryde to help protect us in Valley of the Hand on follow-up turns from here. So we lose our Eliath, unfortunately. The card that keeps cooking us, unfortunately. Let's go Kitty Pryde, Cassandra. That's going to force one of their cards here. Then we can go Agent Coulson to generate some cards. We could either get Marvel Boy, Kate Bishop, Devil Dino. Ooh, so the Black Bolt comes down. We have to expect a stature on their end. I think also the Hawk because Korg. So it looks like that packaging date. Oh wait, it was changed. I'm not sure why I'm still worried about crash cards. All right, we have this lane locked in, and so then it's just finding a way to bring home the rest. So Kate Bishop would have been able to help scale the mid. So I think it's okay. We had a lot of tempo going into that turn. All right. Next up, we have Freyjan. Do you think there'll be an increase in Loki decks since he's featured in the spotlights? I do. I think we'll see a decent increase in it. Just with people finally being able to unlock him and try him out. And with Wiccan doing decently with Loki. And I feel like people are finally starting to adjust to what Loki does well. Jeff is having fun with a Wiccan bounce. I launched a Wiccan bounce whenever I first launched the stream. And I had Hitmonkey in there as a payoff. I had a Werewolf. And I was able to get a really big Werewolf. I just wasn't able to bring it all the way home. And so I could win one lane, but it was winning that second lane that became an issue. But with that being said, Wiccan was triggered almost every single game that we drew it because of the relatively low curve that you want in bounds. It was just what was our big enough payoff that made it worthwhile. Let's go Wiccan, Kate Bishop. We're not going to get the extra energy, but that should be okay. Between Elysium and the Superflow, we don't necessarily need it. We can get a Devil Dino down. Relatively easy. We have the card generation to make sure our hand is full with like Agent Coulson. I know Teddy had success with a Wiccan Sandman. I did get cooked by a Wiccan Sandman earlier, but I do think I agree that it has some elements of like anti-synergy to it. All right, I'm going to go ahead and play the Devil Dino out. I have the Acid Arrow to turn off their extra energy, unless they move the Nocturne over there. Where Island is in mid is decent. The Captain Marvel is a little bit scary from their end. What are Wiccan's superpowers? Losing cubes at an exponential rate. I don't know about his actual in the comic book line. I don't know his powers, but he chants stuff and casts spells in a way. And so I know he's Wanda's child, right? But outside of that, I don't know a whole lot. He's a reality warper. Sounds impressive. So if we do anything over here into the right this turn, then we could do Eliath, and that would be about it on the final turn. Speed Brother? Yeah, yeah. Also Hulkling's partner. He has cube-shaped holes in his pocket. Destined to be Dong-Cheed. Well, doesn't look great. We could do this, but I don't know that ever wins. Got a Young Avengers Omnibus. Diver, what is that?
Escaped.
Official. You said, I'm guessing since I only need Pixie and Wiccan from this cache, I should probably just save for next month or October. It's really hard to say, but for the most part, Wiccan has felt very mediocre for me. I'm not feeling like the payoff on this one is big enough either. Really warrant the like deck building constraints that you're putting into it. Loki straight up needs to be deleted. I mean, there's a lot of Loki enjoyers out there. It does look like it is time for a really quick ad break. So we're going to do that. I'm going to rethink our life decisions and see if we want to keep playing Wiccan or if we just settle on we can't and go with something else. But we'll be right back. You guys don't go anywhere. Talon, you said I've been hearing the complaint that there isn't enough room for both enabling Wiccan and getting a payoff for that. Yeah. Fun fact: if you play 6 win with bounty cards in Arsham deck, you're actually low-key immune. I mean, you might be. But honestly, even when Wiccan goes off, it puts about the same number of points on the board as the Electro play. Blink 1-4, yeah. Unibot says Wiccan just seems kind of like you put so much focus into proper curve that the payoff with the extra energy isn't spectacular. Yeah, nope, I agree. That's definitely what I've been feeling so far, Uni. I don't even know how they should change or buff Wiccan without making him too strong or too weak. Yeah. Kate Listo, thank you so much for resubbing with your Prime sub for the 6th month. Huge support. I appreciate you being here. Hopefully you're having a fantastic day so far. And then Lord Machiavellian with the resub for 3 months as well. I appreciate you being here. Hopefully you're having a fantastic day. I'm gonna to shake off the rut that we're finding ourselves in. Are you working on any alliance bounties? I was. Actually, we have move at least 7 cards. So to knock these out really quick. Oh, I deleted the bounce, didn't I? Werewolf bounce ends up being pretty good for completing the move 7. Nah, I don't want to do it right now. I'll grind them later off stream. I want to run a little bit of Negative Tribunal right now. He said busy workday, but I'm having a lunch, so I figured I'd stop in to watch while eating. I appreciate you being here. We've been taking as far as the game goes with Wiccan. We've been taking some L's. We tried a collector shell, which I didn't give it a whole lot of run room, but ended up being 1 and 2 with a build similar to like a Legion, Doctor Doom, Eliath, 8 and 9. With Wiccan Bounce, I went 1 and 5. None of them this morning were great. And so right now we're going to say we can't and switch to something else. That if you're a gamer, you would play Wiccan instead of Scroll. Ignore the 0 and 1 costs. You get carried by Tinker's Workshop. It's always a possibility. That Living Tribunal variant is looks so good. I didn't pull for it exclusively, but I'm not mad that I used a key on it. Also, why does Loki add 12 full cards to the deck? Shouldn't he replace your deck by the same amount? I think that was the trade-off draw that they went with, so that he didn't give as much information as quickly. And it's a little bit of a nerf in terms of like against Cassandra or against Hawk. But when did Ravonna become 2/2? A couple of over years ago. I've been playing Wiccan with She-Hulk, Red Hulk, Havoc, and Infinite. Been winning a lot. Swain, I'm so glad that you're enjoying it and that you're doing well with it. So we could always super scroll the Patriot. In our deck, we still have our Mr. Negative. We have Mystique, Jubilee, Iron Lad, or Iron Man. I'm gonna try the Iron Lad line. See what we end up hitting. Ooh, Iron Man is not a bad one at all. That gives us a pretty interesting opening to do Iron Man into Onslaught into Living Tribunal.
Snap.
Drew B. Full, you said, hey TLSG, how are you doing? We're doing well. The cubes have not been flowing our way, but otherwise we've been doing really good. I switched over to a little bit of Negative Tribunal because I feel like that's a deck that is in a really good spot right now. Question, does Patriot... Oh, Mr. Kraz. So drops aren't enabled. Drops are gonna come back on the 19th. I need to turn off that Nightbot command. So drops are gonna come back on the 19th, and I'll be streaming from when they launch until I absolutely pass out. But they're not engaged right now, unfortunately. And all right, I turned it off for now. I played a Tribunal list to get to Infinite this season. Yeah, I think so. We're seeing a very small amount of like Enchantress or Cosmo or Rogue, and those are the big things that stop Living Tribunal from doing what it wants to do. And so next up we have Naps. The first location is Aunt May's. We have our Psylocke, so we could potentially ramp into Mr. Negative on 4. We also have the magic to extend the game. So Quicksilver. Okay, it was generated by Arsham. That's unfortunate for him. Let's go ahead and play out our Psylocke into mid. See what we end up going with next turn. What are the drops going to be? So the 6-hour one is going to be a Storm variant. Can you please make a Galactus Wiccan deck? That would be
Hey, welcome. It
incredible.
took you long enough.
I can poke around with it a little bit. Let's go ahead and go. I'm gonna go Magic into Thunderbolt's Tower. I know that we could Iron Lad this turn, but a lot of times I like to save it for like that last stitch effort to be able to dig deeper into our deck. And so I know that I'm probably gonna regret it if we end up drawing Mr. Negative. But if we do, then it wouldn't have mattered too much. It'd just make him a free 0/4. All right, now that we don't have a better alternate line, I'm going to go ahead and try the Iron Lad, see what we hit here. Goliath is okay versus Tribunal. A lot of games you need to play the Tribunal on the Iron Man lane. Yeah, that's true. That one can be telegraphed, but I guess it depends on if you have enough tempo ahead of that.
I am Iron Man.
that Rolf was playing a Galactus Wiccan deck. I could see it. And then Spiky Pete, thank you so much for this subscribing with your Prime sub. I appreciate the support and appreciate you being here. So we have Iron Man here. Could copy the Iron Man with our Mystique into Ravonna. Into Onslaught on 6. And then we're digging for, or hoping for the Living Tribunal on the last turn. Do we know what she looks like? Where can I see her? Yeah, so on the Marvel Snap blog page, let me see if I can, after this, ooh, unfortunate. The Acid Arrow from Kate Bishop is big. Fortunately, it pulls away a little bit of our extra benefit, because now it's only a max of 36. I think they got us. So we could Onslaught. All the others feel just iffy. Gonna Onslaught to the left. Maybe I can draw Super Scroll, which will be a Claw. Onslaught gets Eliath. Unfortunately. This ends up being either the Living Tribunal, or it ends up being Super Scroll, which steals their Claw. I'm not sure that that gives us enough reach here, or even here. But we'll see. You cabled too? Ooh, true. So there is our Super Scroll. So with their Super Scroll stealing these, we're gonna elevate them dramatically. Maybe it's just not a great snap day. Let me see if I can find the blog post real fast for the drops. And I'll share the link with you guys. It's under patch notes. Yeah. So it's almost all the way at the bottom of this page. But that does have details on the drops. All right. Next up we have Fanta. And it's time for us to turn around our cube hemorrhaging. We're gonna turn it around eventually. Yeah, no problem, Agent. So Sanctum Sanctorum is going to be decent for like the Living Tribunal stuff. So if we go Ravonna, maybe we go Magic left after this. Spidered Ham does hit our Onslaught, which is a little unfortunate. Turns into the demon. They have Rocket. And so it looks like they're probably going with a pretty heavy like bounce build. I would imagine. So we can Magic into Asgard, but I feel like we probably need to add Magic into Negative Zone so that all of our cards aren't super negatively afflicted. Get a full series of cards with Jeff included, so he can be in an entire deck. Dark Moogle, that would be fun. That would be fun to play. But I think only for like I could see it for like an April Fool's gag. And then Lupin on the YouTube side said, I don't know, man. I like him. He gives consistency for my Athena deck when I don't get Hope Summers. I could see it. So we do get the Mr. Negative down, and so we'll see. We have the chance to get Jubilee, Iron Man out of that lane. They also just stole one of our cards with Copycat. We have to be pretty concerned with what that card was. I'm going to go Sarah for now. Hopefully they stole our Psylocke, but I have a feeling they probably stole something better. You can change Limbo off. It's only turn 5, though. So it wouldn't end the game. It just wouldn't be great. Steal it back with Scroll. Just, yeah, a double Scroll, so the Scroll Mystique. Drew, you said a funny story. I played 5 games of Thanos and 5 games of Arsham with the goal of drawing and playing Marvel Boy. Arsham was more consistent in drawing and playing out Marvel Boy than Thanos was, but has less cards and draw ability. That is unfortunate. Depending on what they stole from us. Ireland has a 1 out of 3 shot. Iron Man, 1 out of 3 of Living Tribunal. We could also go Jubilee into Ironlad to guarantee that we get 2 of the 3 remaining. I'm not sure if that would be enough. Even if we pull Iron Man, it's not a huge amount of power. Aladdin Jubilee, pray for a tiebreaker with Iron Man. So we know that the rocket comes down. The big 9, Demon, Copycat, which was the Living Tribunal on their end. Oh, well, we lose. We always lose. We get the Iron Man from the Iron Lad, but we win left. They lose the other 2, or they win the other 2. I like those odds better. Yeah, unless they get our Living Tribunal. Unless they got our Living Tribunal. Otherwise, I think it works out really well. Said nope, it's Jubilee, Scroll, and Mystique. We didn't have space for all of them. We could have done Scroll, Mystique, and just used the Jubilee for the 4. The cards have been so laggy. Yeah, there's been a couple of cards that generate, like kind of freeze up the game. Mainly Ireland and Kate Bishop. Yeah, Kate Bishop for sure. With her arrow generation, I found that I've had the most lag with it whenever it can't generate that second arrow. So like if my hand is too full, it just generates 1. It freezes trying to think of what it needs to do. All right. Next up, we have I Lost Son, which, my goodness, we're almost the same rank. We have Ravonna starting out. We can always do Ravonna into Ironlad on 3.
Snap.
Go ahead and snap into it. We have the turn 3 Mr. Negative, which has a couple of good hits. It has the Mystique, which can help us out. The Super Scroll. We have the Sarah to get a little bit of discount early, and then we can kind of explode the power that we have on the last turn. So they stole one of our cards, unfortunately. Stole the ability of one of our cards. But fortunately, though, we do have the Iron Man Onslaught Living Tribunal line lined up. Uncle, he said if you could pick only one card you were missing, Would you pick Cassandra, Kate Bishop, or Nocturne? Nocturne is the more or most flexible of those. And so I'd probably pick Nocturne if I was looking to test out like a wide or large number of decks. Cassandra is good into the Arishem matchups and decent everywhere else. And then Kate Bishop is one that's, I mean, she's pretty fun to play. So we can do Iron Lad now. Or we go ahead and do something like Magic. But I think we hold off on the Magic line. Because they could have Reality Stone. Nocturne is just a good card in almost anything. I agree. Anything with a built-in move ability is going to be cracked. Yeah. I always seem to guess New York plays wrong. New York plays can be kind of tricky to gauge. So we do have the inverted Mystique. They have their Thanos down. We could do something like Mystique Iron Lad? Oh no. We need... If we do this line, I guess we don't need the Onslaught, right? Go ahead and go Iron Lad, see what we end up hitting. We have the really big power swing in the left, unless they have an Enchantress to take it away. This Wiccant list looks pretty good. It is the biggest Wiccant list I've ever seen. I decided to take a break to see if I could turn my luck around, and then I immediately lost a 4 and an 8 cuber. So just needs Wiccan and it'll be rounded out. You can take out. You can add Wiccan, just like we were doing with Gilgamesh.
I am Iron Man.
I have 6,000 tokens ready for Momoko, Jeff, but I haven't got Kyera. I don't know if I want her. Kyera's okay, but I think you can definitely make do without her. Let's go Living Tribunal left. This ended up hitting Super Scroll, so if they have any ongoings. But we always fall to an Enchantress. Enchantress is super uncommon right now. But if we see her, we're going to end up losing a lot. Said Magic, Tribunal, Onslaught, Mystique would be huge. Yeah. Quake would be crazy. Oh, Kim. Knowing my luck, it is a possibility. We might get Shi. Ooh, Shang-Chi in the Living Tribunal lane would be crazy too.
Such is my judgment.
So single drop in the right. Can't be Quake. Magneto pulls the Mystique, pulls the Iron Lad over. Was a good attempt, but not quite good enough.
Victory.
We're having some rough luck today. Magneto, yeah, the Magneto play was a good call, but they didn't have enough points to develop in the other lanes. Thanos Gaming, yeah, my guy is Thanos Gaming. Is the Invisible Woman MODOK Hela deck still meme enough to use in today's game? I mean, you can still use it. Magneto mid would be better. Possibly, but we'd still have the Iron Man that was the Mystique. But I think Hela can be reverted back. Now that we're seeing more Shang-Chi, maybe. But I think the Invisible Woman MODOK Hela might still be okay. It doesn't have as big of an allure as it once did. So you're still putting a lot of stats on the board in a kind of surprising way. And so I think for a few days, once you like launch it up, you'll probably be fine. But afterwards, it might get a little tight. So we can do Magic, Iron Man, whatever, Onslaught, Living Tribunal.
Oh, snap.
You would worry about an Iron Man or a Shang-Chi in the Nidavellir lane, though. I think some archetypes need help before Hela gets reverted. I agree. I think they need to... I think we're in a pretty diverse meta right now. but it would be nice to see some other things kind of get brought up. Now that Eliath is a thing, yeah. Once you start realizing that that's the line that they're going with, I think you definitely start seeing people just slot Eliath everywhere. So the Absorbing Man, if we get Mr. Negative, then those negative afflictions don't really bother us that much. It just makes our cards free. You have the Jubilee line. You could also go Sarah. I don't want to go too heavily into Nidavellir because I am afraid of a Shang-Chi to a certain degree. Go ahead and go Sarah. They have an Ireland of their own. It hits Sandman. So the Sandman is what we're looking at countering. And with that, I think we're fine. Sandman decks typically don't have Shang-Chi built in. They typically don't have enchanters. Ooh, with the Jubilee, we would have hit Mr. Negative, but that's fine. We can go Onslaught. Next turn would be Living Tribunal into the Nidavellir lane. Yeah, with Sandman, I think the Chi is very unlikely. I think Ultron is much more in line with what they're going to be going with. So let's go ahead and launch in the Living Tribunal. They get either our Iron Lad or Mystique, but I'm not sure that it matters from the copycat that they just drew. The Eliath.
The mystery intrigues me.
Unfortunate. No more Wiccan or Wiccan. We've been struggling today. We needed a pick me up, and as you can tell, it's going great. Had I not got greedy and played Living Tribunal anywhere else, that would have been fine. Why does the living face still show up? I don't know. It lit. Yeah, it's that kind of day for sure. We definitely won that one location though. No questions asked. We won that lane. And then Felix on YouTube side said, "Hey y'all, did anybody get the Deadpool emote?" Yeah, so they're gonna send it out, but they haven't yet. I'm not sure if they've announced exactly when they're gonna send it out, but they'll be adding it eventually. Eliath been keeping you down today. Eliath has been taking my lunch money on the daily. What Deadpool emote? This one. So there was a leagues. As long as you entered into a league, there were some exploits going around where people were win trading, so it didn't make it like competitive or fair, and so they're just giving it to everybody. Is Eliath too good again, or do you think he's good where he is? I think he's good where he is for the most part. I just think I've been getting bodied by him. I think for the most part he's good where he's at. He said those that didn't get 1, 2, or 3 didn't get him. Yeah, they haven't got him yet. Top 3 in my league. We're grinding day and night. Yeah. Okay, we lose the Mystique. I hope they lose Wiccan. Oh, unfortunate. They lose Red Guardian. Maybe they don't have a 3-drop. That'd be nice. Gonna magic the left lane. Ooh, so the copycat. Oh, they have our Living Tribunal. Unfortunate as that may be, the Mr. Negative here doesn't do us any good because we already have our biggest payoff cards in hand. We can do the Super Scroll, and so hope is not all lost. So they may regret dropping it. I think we go ahead and drop the scroll now. Drop scroll into Iron Man to Onslaught because we lost our Mystique. Not Jubilee. Save for 8. 8. 7. Save for turn number 7. We can. Go ahead and go Jubilee. They do have the Wiccan.
Behold my mighty
Draw out our Onslaught, which is nice. Into... We know the next card is Ravona. Maybe we go into something like Sarah. Turn 6 would be Ravona. We'll see if we'll have... Oh, for 8 cubes? Yeah, I gotcha. Not Sarah, right? What, Sarah to the right? Do Sarah to the right. Sarah on Onslaught? Okay, we can do Sarah to the right. If they end up having... They end up having a Black Widow. We're okay. We might be okay. We might still be all right. My goodness. what unfortunate luck we have. Let's see. Something like Iron Lad, Iron Man, Ravona, or Psylocke. If they do an Eliath, we might be fine. Maybe stack mid. Yeah, we might stack mid. If they have an Eliath, we may be cooked. But we can always do Super Scroll over to like the left. Let's see. Sandman. Okay, not bad. Iron Lad is nothing. Yeah, Iron Lad doesn't hit anything, but it's higher power. And so it scales more with the Iron Man.
I am Iron Man.
Hey, we have tempo, right? We don't have to. We don't have to worry about Eliath for once. This isn't a huge amount of power. Scroll about to go crazy? I sure hope so. I sure hope so. Let's go ahead and go scroll mid and see if we can steal the 8. At least it won't be your Eliath this time. That's very true. All this Clog and Sandman, how are you surviving? We have not been surviving. Well, okay. We've been surviving, but not thriving. Definitely not thriving. All right, so the double drop. They have Jeff and another card. Leader. Oh, no. Not our day, you guys. It's always leader. Leader for the longest time has not been in this like Sandman style shell. Unfortunate. Maybe it's time for some Galactus. I mean, if we're hemorrhaging cubes anyways, maybe it's time for a little bit of Galactus. My goodness. How about using War Machine? I don't own War Machine. It does look like it's time for a really quick ad break. and then we'll try to turn it around a little bit. Super Scroll working against you, to be honest. Yeah, but we wouldn't have even been able to do... We wouldn't have even been able to do a Living Tribunal had we not had the Super Scroll last game. But we're going to run on a really quick ad break, and then we'll be right back. Black Knight Ajax. I did have one of those built out for a little while. I don't know if I still have it built out or not. We can take a look. No, I think I deleted it because I ran it. I had the Ajax, I had Infinite and Red Hulk, and was still I was just getting demolished. War Machine, the card nobody had. I feel like there was quite a bit of hype when War Machine first came out, or so I've heard. I wasn't playing at the time, but that's what I've heard anyway. We may have to switch to something a little bit more established with the luck that we've been having today. Alright, so no Super Scroll. We know that they're not going to be able to steal our Super Scroll this game. We're safe there. He said Professor X was the man at the time War Machine released, so the hype was as a counter card. I feel like Professor X had been in the meta and been like dominant in the meta so many times, like off and on, that I'm a little bit sad that he's not still floating around. Because now there's so many movable cards that he just doesn't do as much as you would typically want him to be able to do.
Oh, snap.
Time to bring the Athena bounce decks out. It might be time to bring out a bounce deck. Most creators predicted War Machine would be almost as good as Jeff. I do remember hearing that there was some huge hype around him. And then at 4 costs, it's so much tougher to utilize. So they get a lot of extra energy. They can change Bar with no name, so I'm sure that they do with the Nico. You get Living Tribunal. Go Sarah. I think Jeff did a bounce deck with Wiccan instead of Swan recently. Yeah, yeah. So Droopy, I actually started the stream with a Hitmonkey Werewolf Wiccan bounce deck, and I was able to get Wiccan to trigger pretty consistently. But the issue that I was having was I didn't have enough oomph to win 2 of the lanes. It was just 1 lane. So Phoenix Force Invisible Woman over in the left. We can go double Onslaught. Double Sarah would end up being 3. This would be 2. So we could play both on the next turn. Not as good as stacking the onslaughts, but I think it might be the only shot we had without going to turn 7. We also have to look out for Annihilus.
Behold my
Not
mighty hand.
Eliath. Yes. Be what we're really looking out for.
Behold my mighty hand.
Said when War Machine was fizzling, everyone was saying we just need to find his deck. This seems utterly familiar. There was a War Machine deck that made me very, like, for a brief moment, made me very interested in the card. Because it's kind of a cool, like, Infinite Eliath Blink combination that absolutely cooked me a couple times. Had some pretty big surprise elements, but I'm still not sure that he's worth 6,000. We lose to Eliath. Lose to Enchantress. Fortunate. We're gonna drop this deck while Eliath is so prominent. Good lord. More like dead Tribunal. Yeah, there is an awful lot of Eliath right now. So probably not the best call to bring this out. What are the odds? And he's coming in the caches next month? Yeah. Just play Arsham. I do think I need a shower after all of that. Goodness. That was a speed run of negative, I think, 20 cubes. Yeah, negative 23 cubes. Only took 7 games to get there. Let's see. We're gonna pivot off of that. gonna run this one. We're gonna find a deck that works for us today. Eamon, welcome in. Hopefully you're having a fantastic day so far. And hopefully you are the good luck charm that we needed to turn this thing around. Because so far our luck has been pretty unfortunate. Gilgamesh Bird? Gilgamesh Bird is okay. I think it's a very consistent deck. It's just, I get so bored running it that I never end up playing more than like 3 games before I end up dropping it. Said when I last lost my mind to Tilt, I just pulled up a traditional discard deck. Yeah, something that is like very grounded, very established is is typically where you need to be. We can do Nico into Rock Slide. Not awful. You Smeal, you said, hey TLSG, was what was the general vibe of Wiccan so far? Not a lot of prolonged success. A lot of times the synergy felt like you were paying too much into it for what you got out of it. Any new angry junk decks in the works? I mean, there's a couple of cool ones that are floating around with like Dagger, Ajax, and Kate Bishop for the either Acid Arrow or the Grapple Arrow. There's a couple of cool ones of those floating around, but I haven't done anything like new onto it, at least for the time being. Makoto said, when I'm Tilt, I just play Arsham and Loki and start winning again. It's crazy how that happens, Makoto. Absolutely wild. We could just bounce the Cassandra. Maybe we just bounce the Cassandra. I need a TLSG build. Those are the real works of art. We do need another TLSG build, but all the stuff that I brewed was like barely breaking like that 50% that I or more. So it wasn't just a Killmonger's unfortunate. Right, so we can Talk mid. Play the Toxic Ajax. It's very strong. Yeah. Toxic Ajax is still really, really strong. And the clutter, now that people aren't expecting the clutter as much,
I am Iron Man.
Can be pretty decent. The Doc Ock that they played helped us out a little bit. Something like Cassandra, Athena. I think Cassandra Athena left is what we're gonna lock in.
Opponent snapped.
Enchantress? Shang-Chi? Athena Korg mid? They would have to have a way to play into Luke's bar, though. Is why I pushed over to the left. Ultron? In a Ravonna deck? Goblin? Shang/Shadow King? Maybe, but we don't have initiative. Or they have initiative. Did Korg Cass? So the Korg and then Cassandra? Legion? Ooh. Legion's a good call. But then it'd be a point differential. They would win off of that, yeah. Plus Widow Kiss. Shang-Chi. And the Green Goblin.
Hey, I found a rook.
I think we still win the point differential.
Victory.
But still. No, we won with Cassandra. But we did end up getting hit with the Green Goblin that we didn't need to. And so very interesting snap from Moy. Just T Green at the just like I predicted. I mean, sometimes you just need one of those to turn it around. Easy, calculated. We won despite our best efforts, indeed. All right, next up we have Andre Avar. Let's see what we can make happen. We have the Nico. I'm going to play the Korg first, though.
Hey man, I'm Korg.
Then we'll see. Adding as much disruption to their build as early as possible is usually the most ideal. Let's go ahead and play Nico over to the left. We have Cassandra to come down on 3. So I think we play it into mid so that the Bifrost pushes it over to the right. You said got Shang-Chi'd and Killmongered that game. It's still a W. It's a mood booster. Sometimes all you need is a little bit of a mood booster for sure. All right, let's go ahead and go. Let's go Gwynpool. Next turn, I'm thinking we drop the Cosmothena into like a Hawk plus Iceman, a Hawk plus Spider Ham on the final turn. Double drop in the left. Green Goblin. And White Widow. Unfortunate. But we do have the lead here. And so it's going to destroy their White Widow, not our cards. They're playing the Ajax Dagger. Yeah, the Ajax Dagger, like clutter move style.
Opponent snapped.
But how do they play the dagger here? They could always Hazmat here, do the Ajax. Dagger left, Spider-Gwen to mid. Athena now to ramp twice. Yeah. I was just thinking of if we wanted to drop our Cosmo, because then they can always pivot with their Hazmat over here instead. Because this is going to be the Ajax. And so then all they need is a Hazmat line to ramp this one to Oblivion. We don't have the Juggernaut to be able to lean into. So it would end up being this... Does that scale more than what their Ajax does? Maybe. I think it'll be close, but it might. Good Iron Fist Dagger here to move it over into the Bifrost. I regret not pulling for Iron Fist Dagger Hazmat. Yeah. Oh my goodness. It's just a plethora of cards. So the Acid Arrow, but it doesn't go anywhere. The Rock. We're giving up mid. And then the Hazmat line. With how many cards they dropped. Does do it. As it stands, they add 13 right with Hazmat. But when they have so many low things... Closer than I imagined. Yeah, the Ajax line or deck can be pretty good. Ajax himself is just a big like powerhouse. Even if you don't end up drawing the hazmat, the opponent has to respect the fact that you might have the hazmat line. It's so tough to overpower it. That was a blitz. That was absolutely a blitz. All right, we can get a duplicate Thena.
Snap.
Don't need to get a duplicate Thena. We'll take the one instead. If only they knew how bad our luck has been recently, probably would have stayed. You also can't Shang or Shadow King Ajax, which is a huge bonus. Yep. Leno, you said Tubes is just like me, for real, for real. Yeah, so the Ajax ends up being like if you try to do a full like affliction build round, it's usually not as big of a payoff. But just like the hazmat stuff can offer so much value going into that final turn. Oh, speaking of Legion, have you watched? I haven't watched the Legion. I haven't watched the show. Next up, we have JVP. We get a turn to Cassandra Nova. We have the Wind Pool coming down next, or Rock Slide. Ooh, okay. The Loki can be interesting because it set their deck to 11, so our Cassandra is even bigger. It is going to move over into the Superflow. I almost think we do Rock Slide this turn. Is Legion a new show? It's relatively new, but I don't think it just came out new. Zon Aster, welcome in. What shows do you watch? Right now, I'm actually watching. It's been a while since I've watched any, but I'm catching up on some of the anime shows that I had watched in the past. So right now, I'm finishing season 6 and 7 of My Hero Academia. I'm catching up on One Piece. Before that, I'm watching with my wife A House of the Dragon, which I don't like as much as Game of Thrones or like early Game of Thrones, but it still kind of scratches that same itch. And then before that, I just finished rewatching Breaking Bad. He's watching One Piece. He'll be done in 10 years. So I'm using one pace to try to help like speed it up a bit. But no, yeah, in general, yeah. My Hero slaps. I enjoyed it as it was airing. And I think, so I was caught up with season 5 as they were releasing, as they were releasing those episodes. And so I stopped following for a couple of years so that I could binge it after. So now I'm at the point where I have the trial of Crunchyroll and I'm binging through them. And then Unibot. So I just finished it. I think I've watched it like 3 times. I really enjoy Breaking Bad. I've watched it probably far too many times, but.
Oh, snap.
And then you said the copy counter list you posted a couple weeks ago has been putting in work for me recently. That might be, so it wasn't a perfect time for it to shine before, but it might be now. So the copy counter deck is like a deck that wants to hide your Invisible Woman or your counter cards. I think I ended up deleting it, knowing that I had a video over it. Yeah, I ended up deleting it. I watched Breaking Bad about 5 times too. That and Dexter. My goodness, unhelpful Yoda. I felt the same way about Dexter until their season finale, because both of those I was watching as they were releasing episodes. and Dexter just fumbled the ball on the last couple of seasons. But I have rewatched that one at least twice. Breaking Bad, I kind of gravitate to more often though. All right, let's go ahead and go Korg first and foremost.
I found the rook.
Water, you said I have to rewatch Breaking Bad, but my backlog of shows is piling up. It does. And so I always go back to rewatching stuff whenever I'm kind of in like a rut where nothing is really like exciting that's being aired. Don't sleep on Better Call Saul either. So the first time I watched Better Call Saul, I didn't enjoy it. I actually just rewatched Better Call Saul like after I finished Breaking Bad. I appreciated it much more for what it was the second time, because I think the first time you go into it with the expectation that it's gonna be very similar to Breaking Bad, and the first few seasons are kind of slow as it builds up. But I definitely liked Better Call Saul the second time I watched it. Dexter was peak. Dexter, the first few seasons of it were absolutely great. But I definitely think they fumbled a bit on the last few. Eddie said going on a flight tomorrow, and I got the first 3 seasons of Always Sunny, and some old Godzilla movies saved on my phone. You have plenty to watch then. Always Sunny, I didn't get into as big, but every time I sat down and caught one, like it was always enjoyable or always funny. Did you watch the resurgence of Dexter? I did, and I think it was okay. Like I don't think there was anything necessarily bad with it, but it really felt like they were just trying to like
Escaped.
fix their mess up from before. Is the deck much worse without Athena? This one, since we're not running Kitty Pryde, not necessarily. Athena in general is only going to be 7 power or so. And so you could do another like good value 2 cost in this one. They wanted to redeem the other ending. Yeah, the first ending, I used to tell people that it was like the show that I think ended in the worst way out of anything that I had watched. Because it just didn't really make sense. I did enjoy the reboot, and it tried to redeem itself a bit, but yeah. Worse ending than Game of Thrones? Yeah, that's a tough one, because at the time Game of Thrones wasn't a thing. At least Game of Thrones like wrapped things up. I'm not sure that like Dexter, it was just like all the way up until that point, it's very somewhat plausible. At the very end, it just was like, probably not really. So I think it was bad. The ending of How I Met Your Mother was also pretty bad. You're right. It was a big build up for a whole lot of nothing. That's crossing a line. Which one, Murdoff? So I'd almost say that the original Dexter ending was worse than the Game of Thrones. But at least with Game of Thrones, they were like tying off all of the loose ends and everything that they needed to address. With Dexter, it was just like unlike his character build up until that point. Doug, you said, am I the only person in the world who had no issues with the Game of Thrones finale? So I didn't have a huge issue with like the finale itself. I thought the scene with Arya was really cool, but they built this thing up into it not really being like the true ending. And the last few seasons didn't really feel as much like the Game of Thrones that had grabbed our attention. So, you mean original Dexter? Yeah, not New Blood, the original Dexter. The Hurricane Dexter. That's one that I think is probably the worst I've seen. should have just cut the last 2 minutes. Yeah. If it cut the last couple minutes, I think it was. Yeah. You're talking about Snapster? We're always talking about Snapster. So we lose this one, I think, every time. That's all right. That was my "you have to be kidding me" moment. Yeah. Yep. It got to a point where like it was just. It didn't tie anything off. It didn't give you like closure. Versus like Breaking Bad, it really closes out like all of the character lines that you would expect as it ends, and it leaves you feeling satisfied. The Dexter one just left you like sad that I watched it type of thing. It was hard to top the fifth POW season. Fry, you said it felt like it tied up too much too neatly. The Trinity season? The Trinity season was a good one, yeah. And I could see that with Breaking Bad. Like, it definitely set forth to tie up all of the loose ends that it could. And so everything was explained in some way. The new Atla live action stocks are high. I'm not familiar with Atla. Now, Peaky Blinders. I tried to watch Peaky Blinders, but it's something about like that era of like, I don't know. So any kind of thing from like that age or that era, I haven't really been able to like really dive into. It may be because I have to concentrate so hard on like trying to understand what they're saying that I can't like sit back and enjoy it maybe. Letting it feel like he essentially won didn't feel like it fit. Yeah, I could see that. So the Cosmo in mid. I think we're going to skip 1-3. That way we can ramp up Athena next turn. Subtitles is a must for Peaky Blinders for me, at least. I feel like it would be for me as well. Have you seen Penny Dreadful? I haven't. I haven't seen that one. Session has been good so far. Sopranos and House of the Dragon are great too, and only just in the first season. Wait, are you saying Secession is in the first season? Because House of Dragons is in the second one. And I watched a little bit of Sopranos. I thought it was all right. I couldn't get into Queen's Gambit. I really enjoyed Queen's Gambit. I actually thought about rewatching it, but I ended up watching like Breaking Bad and catching up on the animes that I had been putting off instead. I started watching Secession after meeting.
Victory.
He was nothing like Roman. It's kind of cool that he met him though. The home. Oh, you meant that you're only in the first season? Gotcha. Yeah. It's definitely. I like the show. I like House of the Dragon, but it feels like they tried to introduce way too many new characters that you're bought into too quickly. So the first little bit of it was a little bit confusing or hard to like really sink into. Did you watch El Camino? I did watch El Camino. I didn't care for El Camino as much. Like, I thought it was cool as a way to like give Jesse like an actual ending, but that one felt like they were definitely tying up too many things. Like the callback to where like exactly enough money for what he needed was hidden from his time in. I felt like the El Camino may have been a little bit of a stretch, but it also gave us a little bit more like of the Breaking Bad world after like having gone without Breaking Bad for a little bit. That House of the Dragon is about to get insane. So I'm a couple of episodes behind, but I can tell that it's been ramping up towards, you know, something pretty big coming 2026. I liked the first season of Ozark, but after that I couldn't. So I watched the first season of Ozark when it aired, but after that I couldn't get back into it. So like I had to take a gap while they wrote the rest, and then I tried the first couple of episodes of season 2 and just I didn't have the same buy-in that I did before, and so I ended up not finishing season 2. Any Yellowstone fans? I did watch the first several seasons of Yellowstone. I enjoy that one as well. But it's been a while. I think I'm a few seasons behind on it now. All right, so they do have the Loki, so we have to look out for all of the stuff that they could have. Let's go Gwenpool here. Athena and Werewolf, which is nice. They'll be able to free up the raft location. I'm a big fan of Yellow Jackets. Yellow Jackets or Yellowstone?
Opponent snapped.
All right, so we do have Juggernaut to lean into on the last turn. Maybe something like... Maybe we go... Cosmo Athena? Stop their own reveals from going off here. It's either that or we throw down an Iron Man into next turn doing like Cassandra Nova plus Juggernaut to win 2 lanes. Maybe it's Iron Man left. We'll figure out our finisher from there. Does Cosmos prevent Werewolf from moving? No, so Werewolf would still move, but it just stops the one reveal.
I am Iron Man.
I believe. Eliath, however, would remove the on reveal, and so then they wouldn't bounce. So a lot of cheap cards. I guess even 5, that'd be 10 more. It only goes to 16. This could scale up to where they need. They're always going to play more than 2 cards, though. They're Werewolf bouncing around. I think this ends up being a loss. Curious. Oh, unhelpful Yoda. You said Yellow Jackets is about a soccer team who got lost in the wilderness for a year. I haven't heard of that one. You said it's hardcore? Is it something that I need to watch? So the big Shang-Chi. Ooh. To the really big Blobbert. And so our Cassandra doesn't get very big. You end up losing the 4. It's a big blob. I think even without it, actually, without it, our Cassandra would have been bigger. Maybe we could have, but it absorbed a lot of cards too. Reset time? Good. We need a we need a reset. So Magic is ending up kind of like Storm in that she has so many variants that it's hard to pick any given one. I do like the flames for this one. How whenever it's upgraded, they're animated. But for $50, I don't like it that much. We have the new Ghost Spider coming out. Magic Art Germ. The latest variant is best for. For Magic, I don't remember what the latest variant for is. I know that she has a lot. So both her and Storm have so many different variants. Does the L in TLSG stand for legs? It might be, or it might for today. For today, it might be losses. So we are gonna go to a really quick ad break. I'm gonna pull up this variant, but we're gonna go to a quick ad break, and we'll be right back, you guys. And so let's see. It's the ones that I own. We have quite a few. I do like the Phoenix 5. I feel like this one that came with the, I think it was the Phoenix Force season. And then the Wiccan variant in the shop. Oh, this one's new too. Oh wait, all of these are new? I didn't realize. Oh, these are the spotlight ones. I'm not a big fan of this Wiccan variant. I agree with you, but I do like that they're doing some like animation on some of the particles, and so it makes it feel really cool. I like this piece of it. I like the blue stream, but the rest of it, I agree. I don't really care for it. I like Baby for Magic, the mischievous vibe. I could see that too. The lost sad gamer, TLSG. Oh, Deadpool, get the roasts today. I mean, but you're right. It looks like Thor with a stick. It did make him look like that. That's his Asgardian suit, which would make sense why he has the why it kind of looks like Thor, right? It has the traditional Asgardian helmet. When he first appeared. Ooh. No, I would say probably not worth 1,200 gold though. He was called Asgardian before Wiccan because they thought he could only manipulate electricity. Ooh, gotcha. All right, let's see if we can turn it around. Good start with a nebula. I would give my left arm for this suit. Is there a hot location? Oh, I didn't even look. I'll look right after this. So we have the double Cassandra Nova if we want. Ooh, White Widow in mid is big. Destroyed Mansion is the hot location. It's not a super impactful one, right? We can Deathlock in mid, get away with the Widow's Kiss. Add a rock and a... Oh, it's the new location. So add a rock and a vibranium to your hand. Gotcha. Your cards aren't on the screen? Thank you. Thank you for the reminder. So it's either Cassandra Nova or we go Rock Slide here to add junk into their deck. I think we're going to go with the Disrupt first. They go Cassandra Nova of their own. Go Absorbing Man. A copy of the Rock Slide. That would open up a Cassandra plus Iceman on 5. But if we want Deathlock, since I do want to play Deathlock into mid, I'm going to go ahead and go Cassandra over to the left. I'll play Iceman into mid. Next turn is going to be Deathlock mid plus maybe Athena or one of our one costs. Into the finishing of like Hawk over to the right. Is Wiccan worth spending keys? My early assessment would be no. But to be fair, I've been catching L's with every deck that I ran today, so it may not just be the card. I say from what it feels and from what I've seen, his there we go. We'll do a Nico into Deathlock mid. We'll get some additional card draw off of it. From what I've felt with it so far is that there's not a huge or big enough payoff for getting that extra energy. So like some games you'll be able to get enough that you can do some cool things, but you need something that's going to be able to win you the game or something restrictive on that deck building space. It needs to be similar in line to like a Mr. Negative. So you even if you get the payoff, it's not a guaranteed win necessarily. He said, of course they get Bucky. sometimes RNG giveth and RNG taketh away. They did play Iron Fist last, right? So they'll have to play a card here and then push over. Still not fantastic. We're only ahead by 2 here. This ends up being nothing. Unfortunately, the Winter Soldier plus the Iron Fist puts a lot of pressure here. And I don't think we're going to be able to outscale it. Unless they just didn't have very many resources to use, but I think they do. I've had some wild random things pop off. Had an Arsham game yesterday that gave me Dakin, Phoenix, and Zola. In my opening hand, mid was Death's Domain. I felt bad for my opponent. I feel bad for your opponent. Because that is, that's one of the biggest complaints that I hear about Arsham is like how consistently you get certain things that like that you need or your certain outs. And it feels even worse when it's Arsham generated. Should I buy Cassandra with tokens? She's a card that is always decent value. So if you drop her on curve, that was a 1 in a million scenario between card RNG and location. Posture check. Thank you, Chris. Thank you for the reminder, Chris. Cassandra is good. I think we see her a lot, especially anytime or while Arsham is pretty common. But tokens are really tough to come by. So it's hard to say for sure. But add a rock and a vibranium to your hand. It does kind of feel uninspired, right? You're gonna clutter up the draws. Not get a whole lot out of it. Is there an archetype you'd recommend for this hot location? Not off the top of my head, other than something that can support or like plays their cards out early so that you have room for the junk. The Clog and Black Widow. Well, it could be okay, yeah. Maybe that's what I need to go back to be able to win. Let's see how we're doing with this one. The stats on it. Not beautiful for the stats on this one either. We're gonna pivot again. Should we go Clog? Let's see what my alliance missions are. The move cards. This one's kind of interesting. So somebody earlier in the chat asked about a Pixie Wiccan hybrid deck. And I told him I didn't really see the synergy. But it's not awful. I was thinking maybe Destroy or Zoo. Yeah, Destroy could be good. I think Zoo would also feed into like the Vibranium. Destroy would feed on any I'm a play Clog now gamers. Yeah. Do you have a set goal in mind when climbing top 50 to 100, 200? I don't have a set like idea or goal. Like post Infinite, I just experiment and try and find good or fun decks. So a lot of times that looks like me experimenting with a lot of different archetypes and shells. I would like to be at least top 500. Top 100 is nice. I've hit it the last couple of seasons, and up until today, I was hovering around like 110. But we've had some unfortunate luck since that point. There's still plenty of season to turn it back around, though. I am all for trying out a Pixie Wiccan deck, though. Top 300 while testing stuff? Yeah, I do like to test stuff. And used to, I could test it in Conquest, but as Conquest has been out longer, I feel like the competitiveness of that mode has gotten less. And so I don't feel like I get a true test until I launch it into like the ladder. And so next up we have Freyjan. We do have our Hood. We don't have a 2-drop, but if we happen to top deck into one of the 1 costs, we have our Demon or a 2 cost in Pixie or Hawkeye. Or we get the extra energy here. We can do Mobius this turn. And that maybe opens us up for some flexibility going into 3. Conquest seems to consist solely of Destroy and Agatha and Arsham. A lot, especially the earlier ones. Yeah, I can see that. Cam? Wait, is the cam not on? Oh, wrong screen again. Back. I appreciate you guys.
Victory.
A 100% win rate Wiccan deck, guaranteed. We were going to be able to get Wiccan down though. The Nico, the Demon, the Spider Ham would clear us for 3 and into Wiccan on 4. Quit while you're ahead. All right, we're going to retire at the top. Delete the deck, move on. %100% win rate. Post the deck right now. YouTube thumbnail done. Easiest video of my life. All right, next up we have JF rank 82. And the hydrate reminder from Opt. I appreciate you. The TLSG guarantee is as good as the ones from Charles Barkley. All right, let's go ahead and go Nico. We're going to copy probably 8 Bishop next turn, which isn't fantastic. Their Nico into Destroy is decent for them. The Bifrost is not great, pushing all of our cards from the Bifrost into Thunderbolt's Tower. I'm going to go ahead and play Kate Bishop over to the right. And I'm thinking they have a way to bounce these cards back in. No. The Hood just gets destroyed. Never mind. So Grapple Arrow, Basic Arrow, and then we get the copy of Kate Bishop as well. Get Wiccan down on 3, but the question becomes, is it a big enough payoff? Is the biggest thing that I find with the Wiccan. So Wiccan on 3 is nice at the very least. I would love to see you try my Arsham Wiccan deck. Actually high rolls like crazy. 4 2s including Zabu, 3 3s, Nick Fury can go high. I think Wiccan could do okay in Arsham. There is quite a bit of variance there though. So we can still do Pixie Mobius. but the Bifrost dropping this turn makes it a little bit tougher. But I think we hold everything else except for these two. Unless we go Pixie Mobius and we're looking for the Arsham line. Or the Annihilus line, not Arsham. My goodness. Might not be as bad. Let's go ahead and go with that for now. Ooh, we take out their Cersei, which is huge. The Mysterio caps us out in the right lane. Fortunate. We don't have a way to pull in or reach over there. That does open up our freedom for, like, the Sentry. Goliath could be interesting. Go ahead and lock in just the basic arrow and the Sentry to the left. The 3-cost Goliath might be nice to see. Another Clog Zone. Why do they keep helping a terrible archetype? I enjoy me some Clog, but I definitely feel like it's another like frustration piece that if it's too popular, it's very frustrating to play against too often. All right, so they go with a single drop in mid. The White Widow. Unfortunate. I mean, otherwise, we had a fantastic finisher of like the Red Hulk, the Goliath. But their light clutter just was too much for what we could or wanted to do. Time to skedaddle. Ghoul, I couldn't have said it any better myself. We're gonna jump out of that one. So 50% win rate deck, which feels a lot less impressive than 100%. Or imagine Annihilus. Annihilus maybe, but they could still play over there or in mid if they... I don't know. we can absolutely leave that one. And that is what we're gonna be doing with Wiccant. That one doesn't count. It was a practice game. Yeah, we don't count those. The Annihilus is now gone. Their Loki is gone though. So they have Nico into something. Our Spider Hand hits their Valentina. I hate Clog so much more than I ever hated getting Professor X. But Professor X into Cannonball was super unfun. Would you pop a key for Wiccan, saying if you were not a creator? From the early stats, probably not. I think there is maybe some potential in him. How fortunate that our Nico ended up being free cost. Pixie? I'd say probably not. Yeah, the Nico carry. Nico coming in absolutely huge for us. Could Cersei make a fit here if you miss on Annihilus? Maybe. But then your curve starts getting a little bit too high, so like the Wiccan stuff becomes tougher to navigate. Ostricken, Thicken, Quicken, Chicken Wiccan? Calibrex. That is quite the mouthful. Alright, let's go ahead and go Wiccan. We have the Goliath. Maybe we Goliath on turn number 5, depending on what they have. Posture check from Phantom Crew. Good call. Because I had to check myself. I appreciate you. Alright, so we have our Wiccan coming down. They do have a couple of their demons. Let's see. Red Hulk's not a bad one. We could do something like Hood Red Hulk. Or we kind of want initiative going into that final turn, right? So maybe it's Hood Red Hulk to the right. Let's see what we can do. I just thought it would be nice to get rid of 1 power Ham and Pixie. Yeah, I agree, Sergeant. I think with the Wiccan line, it becomes tough. I think if you go that line, you can probably cut Wiccan for the Cersei. Probably be just about as fine. The big Mockingbird over to the left. We're not going to have initiative anyways. Decent touch here. Without filling this one, Sentry isn't really our play. Do this, it adds 16. I don't think that's enough. Eliath here isn't going to be enough. 16 would bring us up to 11. I'm sure that they can play more than 3 there. If not, like a Shang-Chi, we'll jump out of this one. I'm tempted to pull because I'm missing Pixie, but she kind of sucks too. Pixie's one of those that sometimes you're going to have the big payoff. Other times your board is going to be like, what am I even doing? And so she can be a fun card. I haven't seen her ever like super competitive, but she's a fun one to play for sure. And Uni said, how do you feel about Pixie? I keep almost rolling keys for her. I think she's okay. There's some games where you're going to get a really good high roll with the Pixie line. Other times, it's going to be almost feels like a waste of a slot. Could be argued they both suck, but Pixie is sure the most fun of the two. She is the most fun of the two. All right, so I'm snapping on 1 into the Pixie Mobius. We're not going to get additional energy, but that's okay. We have our other payoff in the Pixie Mobius line. Pixie High Evo was a thing for a bit. I don't think I was around when it was a thing. So Mobius is going to stop their death from being discounted, so their death will be unusable. I hope speed is going to be good. I feel like he's probably just going to be okay. Because at a 3 cost, he's 3/3, but it's only a +1. +1 for each turn that you use all of your energy. And so most of the time, he's going to end up being like a 3/6, which is okay stats, but nothing incredible. So like if you think about Cassandra Nova, a lot of times she's 3/7 or more, and she has higher scalability in like Camartage. All right, I'm going to go ahead and drop Mobius. Next turn will be Cassandra over in the left. They have Cassandra in their Deadpool build? Oh no, they got it from us. Fortunate. Unfortunate that they got it from us. Cassandra into Double Hood. Could be decent here. Had no idea what OP was cooking with a deck that has mostly low cards. Some kind of bounce deck, but where the payoff was is double Wiccan next turn. We skipped on turn 1, so Wiccan won't give us any energy. Yeah, he can be up to 3/9, but you would have to use all of your energy every turn. And so most games you'll probably miss at least once or twice there. Yeah, and she also has the extra value from like the negative. I haven't seen Pixie Annihilus in a while. How's that been playing? Pretty much any deck that I've touched today has just fallen apart. I think we're only a handful of games in, so like it can definitely still change, but it hasn't been fantastic so far. I think we're 1 and 2 with it, so we just picked it up. Benny said, "I enjoy watching you the most because you explain everything. It helps me out." Benny, I'm so glad that you're enjoying the content. and that it's useful or helpful for you. So Wiccan Demon. We don't have any of our changed cards, unfortunately. Two 3/18s. We have the 1-cost Red Hulk, but I think it's too little too late. Nico Wiccant. Could have changed left. Could have changed left. But if they have Arnim Zola, I assume Null left. Yeah. Probably Null over to the left. Shong and Destroy. Yeah, Shong and Destroy was I think a big piece of what did it for him. Otherwise, they could have done Arnim Zola, pushed it here and here. They also have 2 Venom copies in hand from Nico. Ooh. Oh. Noel is a hungry boy. Noel was very hungry there. And so it might be, honestly, it might be that I need to switch to like a standard destroy to get things swinging back in the right direction again. So no on the Wiccan again. We do have the Sentry Annihilus this time. I hate Shang and Shang. Like, you hate people that run Shang-Chi in it, or you hate running it? Wiccan is so bad. You might not be wrong. This is the first time we've seen this location, and it just clutters your hand. When does everyone get the league rewards? I'm not sure. I'm not sure that they've said yet. Freak. I thought it added both to your hand too. I was a little confused why it didn't add the rock into our hand, but it adds the rock to the location and then gives you a vibranium. So that's kind of interesting, I guess. I don't want to shuffle rocks into our deck. Same time, I feel like we may need to. I'll say Killmonger hitting 8+1 drops is so satisfying. It can, yeah. So that kind of glitched out. I have no idea what it hit. It looked like a 2-cost card. Gotcha. One cost Mobius isn't bad. We're not gonna use it ahead of time, but it's still not bad. Let's throw Annihilus in. Next turn we can do Red Hulk, Wiccan, Mobius. Taking 6 rocks is wild. We're gonna take all the rocks, because everything in our deck, we're not gonna use much of what's in our deck. So the Hood, Nico, Kate Bishop, none of those are really like late game role players for us. Ooh, they gambled on if we were gonna go Cersei or not, and we did not go Cersei on them. Think Shang needs to stay? Yeah, I agree. So now, locked into this power, we can go Red Hulk, Wiccan, Mobius. No. Vibranium Jin. Opinions on the new Carnage variant. I haven't looked at what it looks like with foil, but from just like the picture of it, I thought it looked pretty cool. The Shang nerf was basically just indexing for inflation. I I haven't heard it referred as that, but it's not a bad way. It's not a bad way to look at it. I think that's probably a pretty accurate statement. It does look like it is time for a really quick ad break. I'm gonna run to the restroom and then we'll come right back and hopefully continue. Hopefully start climbing with. We'll continue running the Pixie Arisham, Pixie Annihilus Wiccan deck for a little bit. We'll be right back, you guys. Don't go anywhere. OTA coming. Who knows what's going to get hit? There's no telling what's going to get hit. And actually, let me turn on our widget because this stream is sponsored by HelloFresh. In the title, we had the HelloFresh partner, and so here in actually we can run it through real fast. So those of you that haven't heard of HelloFresh. I'm currently sponsored by them. They are a meal prep service. And so by using my link, you get 10 free meals and a free breakfast for life while you have an active subscription. And if you're in the US, the link and code are valid in all countries and respective local discounts will apply. And so HelloFresh, I actually got my first box and I was pleasantly surprised. I never in my life thought I would be cooking risotto, and I ended up making risotto and it was so delicious. And so really quickly, I'm going to run through the website. It takes about maybe 5-10 minutes, and then we'll be able to jump back over into Snap. But the next 2 hours are sponsored by HelloFresh. And so if you've ever wanted to try them out, you get a really big discount by using my code, and it helps support me and helps support my content. So let me switch over to